What is up, everyone? What is up? We are gathered here today to honor and dance on the grave of OpenAI's Sora. So if you didn't hear, Sora is apparently bye-bye. Now, they say that they haven't gone completely out of the AI-generated video game entirely. But yeah, Disney apparently has also exited OpenAI deal after the AI giant shuttered Sora. Which is good, because hopefully that'll mean some animators get to keep their frickin' jobs, because Disney's already been in shitified enough as it is. Last thing we needed is them making Marvel movies with Sora in the likeness of Stan Lee. This new Sora video is trash. Well, most of the AI stuff they have is kind of trash. Most of, well, in terms of what people are trying to do with it. Like, in terms of, like, using it as, like, a coding assistant, or as long as you have, you know, limited, how should I say it? As long as you limit your expectations, and you don't have these absurd, like, what all these CEOs were doing, like, a lot of our human workforce. Like those idiots, you'll do pretty well. Like the people that actually believe that AI is going to completely replace software engineering, or is going to actually replace cybersecurity, yeah, that ain't happening. If anything, AI has now opened up more opportunities for cybersecurity. You still need to know the fundamentals of software engineering. AI has it's a skill multiplier. If you are really shitty, it will multiply your shittiness. If you are really good, it can multiply your great skills. That's the honest reality when it comes to AI. It's not this amazing end-all and be-all. It's not capable of reasoning. It's not capable of, you know, doing the thinking for you. And I think a lot of people have to temper their expectations around it. And that's why I think we're going to start seeing this bubble pop sooner or later. It'll probably be popping, like, maybe later in 2026. Maybe 2027. But to the person that's like, Sora going out is gonna help RAM pricing, no, it's not. That RAM, unfortunately, is already accounted for in 2026 through 2027. So, we're kind of boned. Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad I bootlegged Scream 7 because I didn't even finish watching it. Scream 7, yeah. I do want to see the new Scary Movie, though. The Wayans brothers said, what was it? If the new Scary Movie does great, they will release a White Chicks 2. And I want to see a second White Chicks movie, especially if we can get Terry Crews back in. I love Terry Crews in that movie. I love Terry Crews in every single movie and TV show, son. Bought tickets to DEF CON 34 today. You going? Most likely, yeah. I already got my hotel room reserved for DEF CON. I haven't bought my ticket yet. I got to, like, what is it, May for the early bird special, so I got time. I still gotta book the airline ticket and all that. Yep. So that'll happen. So I got time. What's up, Prisms? I'm not gonna lie, I'm worried about our future workforce in tech once C-suite catches up and realizes that AI is not the workforce replacement. We're not gonna have the workforce to replace us because they cannot get entry-level jobs right now. So, we kind of touched on this early on. I think we're gonna have the workforce to replace, but it's gonna be a steep curve, and what's gonna suck is they're going to prey on the desperation of the new generation that's coming in, similar to what they did with the millennials that were dealing with the financial crisis. What I mean by this is that right now, the unemployment rate with Gen Z, from my understanding, is extraordinarily high. I think it's like something like 20-25% when you actually break it down by the generational gaps. And they're leaving college without any prospects whatsoever because it's brutal right now for entry level. That they're just thankful if they can get any opportunities right now. Companies are going to prey upon that. And a lot of these new kids, for basically what they are, they're still kids. They're in their early 20s, maybe, late teens. They're basically still kids. They don't know what a healthy workplace really looks like, and they're going to be fed a lot of BS. They're going to have to put up with a lot of BS, and they're not going to know in many ways to stand up for themselves. Now, I'm hearing many of them are, still figuring out that work-life balance and everything, but I have a feeling that they're going to prey on that desperation. Because especially when you have these people leaving college with massive amounts of debt that they need to pay for, they're just going to be trying to pay their bills. I know that feeling because I was preyed upon that in a way at my last job. My last job, I stayed there a little longer than I probably should have because I had the carrot dangled of, oh, you work hard, you'll get a promotion, we'll give you a pay raise, all that. I've told y'all, they effed me over. They tried to not give me a raise. They tried to go full, they're not trying. They're going full RTO. They didn't give me a promotion. Instead, they hired outside of the company. And when I finally, was looking for a new job, it just so happened when my manager's like, well, we're not going to give you a pay raise. And they're saying that, you're below expectations. Basically like threatening me with a PIP, even though I am the only person on the team that knows Python, infrastructure as code, was doing a lot of the coding and, development work and things like that out of the entire engineering team that had that skill set. I said, well, that's fine. I kind of was waiting around just to see about my bonus, but since I'm not getting that, you're going to get my 2 weeks by the end of the week because I already have an offer coming in. And when I said that, it was basically, hold up, wait, let's talk about this. I'm like, you're offering me no raise, I don't get a bonus, and I can leave, get a 40% raise, stay hybrid, no RTO, return to office. That's what RTO means. So 5 days a week in office, ass in seat. You tell me what I'm going to take. And that's the problem, is a lot of employers right now are banking on desperation. But those who have the skills, know their value, know their worth, and have upskilled a lot, can take their skills elsewhere. And I did just that. Actually, I was talking to my manager today, and I was telling them I feel like I am so used to the whiplash of having to do several changes a week at my last job, where I feel like we were moving so fast at my last job that at this job, I feel like I'm standing still and I'm not doing enough. And he was kind of chuckling at that. Because, yeah, I'm chomping at the bit. I'm that type of person, and I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of PTSD, who knows. But yeah, basically, a lot of jobs right now are preying on desperation. Basically, that you should be grateful enough that you have a job. They're not hiring fast enough. They're not firing really. They're just kind of like in this stagnant, weird motion right now. It's the weirdest thing. Company need to know that people won't work for low pay, and they certainly would find a better job in the same role. Yeah, that happened to me. Except I went from cybersecurity engineer to senior cybersecurity engineer. We're moving on up, moving on up, moving on up. But yeah, the job market is such a pain, as most companies don't even want to hire, even though they have the skills. It depends on where you're at and how you present yourself, but I will say the funniest thing is, after I actually got the job that I'm at right now, I started getting a bunch of the responses from other jobs. The majority of them are rejections. They didn't even really look at my resume. Like, oh, we've decided to go with another person. It's that form rejection where it's like, yeah, like, buddy, I applied to your job like 3-4 months ago. If it took you this long to get back to me and I've already accepted another offer, you need to really reevaluate your entire job hiring processes. And the several that did reach out to me, like, we'd like to schedule an interview with you, I'm like, I already accepted a job. I've been somewhere else for like a few weeks now. I'm happy right now, and I'm going to give them a fair shot. So, a lot of companies need to improve their hiring practices in many ways. They need to stop relying on AI. They need to stop relying on these application tracking systems, because I already have been told by many hiring managers that, you know, when I hit them up and I say, hey, your system, you know, denied me, whatever, just wanted to send my resume over to you, and they're like, WTF? You got denied? Like, they look at my resume, because I think you all have seen enough of the projects that I've tinkered with in my GitHub and stuff like that. And they're like, you got denied? But every single job that actually had a human look at my resume has actually reached out to me. Every job that has had AI has rejected me, because I don't have the right checkboxes. Imagine that! But yeah. I'm a Gen Z software engineer, and I think the opportunities are definitely there. The bar is just higher. People who suck drown. Controversial take for me. I actually do have to say that in a way, too. This kind of touches on a little bit what I've said, we've touched on before, where I think that the bar is lowering in terms of education, at least as far as I can tell in the USA, because there are an increasingly growing number of people in high school who apparently don't know how to read at the appropriate grade level. There are people that when I make my videos, you know, so as you know, I record my videos on YouTube, and then I will clip them for TikTok. There are people that honestly in the TikToks think I'm AI because I'm speaking in full sentences and can't believe that I can actually script things out. Or there have been people that like have I've had multiple people be like, is this a pre-recorded stream or whatever? Like multiple people, not just one person, multiple people. And it just blows my mind that people can't process that people are capable of forming an entire sentence. Or even when I've given analogies on different things, that they're like, well, this must be AI. Yeah. Saw in the documentary that universities are getting emptier. Really? Interesting. How do you feel about NVIDIA's announcement of achieving AGI? I'll believe it when me shit turns purple and tastes like rainbow sherbet. Look, they're announcing a lot of things. I don't believe that they're really going to hit it like they say they did. They're probably just, they say has been achieved, can create billion-dollar businesses. He says, I think we've achieved AGI. Okay, so the key word is there. I think we've achieved AGI. I think. Not objectively. Subjectively. Think. Okay? To me, this sounds like he's hyping it. This just sounds like he's just doing his usual thing of BS. When you say, I think we've achieved AGI, and there's no objective, there's no objective testing to prove that. And let me put it this way. When it can pass the Turing test, properly, unaided, then we'll have that discussion. But this sounds like investor hype. Did you see the lovable 15-year-old intern who left because he said he was going to make AGI? Oh, that's so cute. The little guy think he's gonna make AGI. Maybe he will. Who knows? But come on, dude. 15 years old. I mean, I know people are gonna be like, well, he's like maybe a little Sheldon. Sheldon's a fictional character. Okay? He won't. I'll put a market bet on it. I'll just, right now, just make it. It's always investor hype. Money, 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 unfortunately, instead of innovation. Yeah, the problem is you have a bunch of these investors that overhype a lot of BS. And speaking of BS, I'm working on another video right now because this is in response to a comment I had, which was a really bad take. If you were in the Discord, if you were in the Matrix, if you were on my Instagram, yes, I did get back on Instagram begrudgingly. I got peer pressured enough. If you saw, like, basically on all of my socials, there was a person that had an incredibly bad take that, you know, I can't take any, I'm paraphrasing here, I can't take any cybersecurity person when they talk about crypto being cryptocurrency, not cryptography. You know, I usually talk about crypto and cryptography. And I think that's ultimately a bad take, and it was in reference to the fact that towards the end of the Proton Did Not Betray You YouTube video, I talked about the point where people I knew were going to say, well, why didn't they just pay in Bitcoin? And we talked about how Bitcoin's pseudo-anonymous and using Monero and all of that. And I said, you know what? Instead of, you know, just bitching about one user and that, oh my God, somebody on the internet's wrong and I have to, you know, disagree with them. You know that meme? I'm like, you know what? There's a vocal minority of people out there who are ignorantly believing that because it's cryptocurrency, it has nothing to do with cybersecurity, but I think we can turn this into a learning lesson for a lot of the people who, whether or not they like cryptocurrency, should learn the basics of it from a cybersecurity perspective to know, you know, Monero, Bitcoin, blockchain, what is a node, what is a miner, what is a hardware wallet, Shamir sharding, BIP39, all of these different things so that you can understand it. Because a lot of those things actually do translate into cybersecurity. You'd be surprised how many of the actual topics we were talking about in cryptocurrency many years ago actually reared their ugly head in my CISSP study material. Who says that? Oh, there was a comment. All foreign-made routers are banned now. Apparently all foreign-made routers are banned now. So guess what? Me making my own pfSense router. I've been vindicated for making my own pfSense router finally. Hooray! All those people that are like, oh, you know, Chief, nobody cares that you make your own router. The government cares that I make my own router. Although the question becomes, because you technically can't make hardware in the USA for any of that stuff, does that mean that it's still foreign made? Or by the virtue of me buying hardware and then installing pfSense, does that make it US made because I set it up in the US? I need to find the answer for that. But anyway, as far as I know, a pfSense router firewall is completely compliant with the new regulations. So homebrew routers and firewalls are going to become even more important than ever. So y'all better start learning how to do that in home lab and all this shit, because it's now no longer a skill. It's now a necessity to survive on the internet of the United States in this Mad Max world. But seriously, who knew?
Welcome to the land, Camp GSXR.
I'm not sure if I have echo. I think that might be you. Anybody see if I have echo? Echo, echo, echo. How much selling them? Okay, I don't have echo over on Twitch. Okay, if I don't have echo over on Twitch, okay, the TikTok people are saying, yep, okay. Nobody on TikTok, nobody on Twitch is saying there's no echo over here, so that might be you. So, or as we say over here, that sounds like an ish you, not an ish me. I'm currently working on obtaining my CCNA. Nice! Let us know when you pass. Notice how I said that. When you pass, you will pass. Unlike Gandalf. We're not going to Gandalf you. Dang, PHP users always complaining about stuff. If you want to find a PHP user to pick on, go pick on Parrot. Parrot loves PHP. He's in the Discord. Or they're in the Discord, sorry. Still getting used to that. You do hear hissing on TikTok, loud air. Why is there loud air? It's all the same. It's all the same audio. It's all going to the same place. Like static. Huh? That's weird. Anybody else got static sounds over on the TikTok? Need to create my own pie hole in my network, but my modem doesn't support DNS over HTTPS. I have to. No, I don't think you understand that you don't need to do DNS over HTTPS with your modem. Your pie hole actually becomes the DNS server, from my understanding. So when you actually... So what you end up doing is the DHCP will be adjusted so the DNS server points to the pie hole. The pie hole then does the DNS resolution. So the pie hole itself will actually be doing the DNS over HTTPS or DNS over TLS. So it will be doing the DNS resolution. So your ISP provided router and all that is irrelevant to this equation here. Windows streaming PC issue? Who knows, maybe. I did just upgrade the OBS. Hold up, I'm gonna check, see how the kick looks. Maybe the kick will tell me. Well, of course, the sound's not working over here. All right. So, testing. No, it's good. It seems good. All right, I don't know. Look, man, I just work here. Can't hear any echo. No, I was trying to see if there's a static sound or anything, but the audio sounded great when I just turned on Kick. Well, the audio is going out to the same all 4 platforms, so if it's on one, it should be going to all of them that way. So, all right, we will reset the pipe wire, get that going, so we can a wild arch PHP user hybrid loose in this Discord. Yeah, go pick on Parrot. Let them know that I sent you. How to use IPv4 DNS address for AdGuard. It's not that hard. You just set your DNS address to what your AdGuard server is. I have a combo modem. I bought my own. I don't use ISP provided equipment because it's garbage. It can be. Although I have to say Spectrum's modem is pretty good, but I use their modem, but not their router. I, of course, have pfSense doing my own stuff, and then it's getting the... Ooh, heard myself. Kick unmuted itself. And then it's getting the public IP directly off of the modem that way. Your thoughts on multi-GPUs in your streaming PC to handle multiple streams, GPU 1 for TikTok and GPU for Twitch? So I've thought about doing that for the new streaming PC that I want to build. So I'm building a transcoding server eventually using Media MTX. Now I have a spare 3070, and I was going to be throwing a 5050 in there alongside it. The 5050 being, of course, one that supports AV1 encoding because YouTube supports that. Twitch is supposed to be supporting that at some point. They've never announced officially when, because AV1 is supposed to be a better codec in terms of quality. Kick, I don't know when that's happening. TikTok has not really said anything about it. But anyway, you can totally do that, but you have to do some custom configuration there with FFmpeg to basically point it to the different GPUs to use the different NVENC encoders. So it can totally be done, but it's going to take some custom magic voodoo. So yeah, I've looked on it. Opinions on crypto mining on my neighbor's power line. Do you hate your neighbor? If so, go for it. No, they're just a pensioner. I mean... When you say pensioner, what? Do they have their electric rate, like, capped? Like, they only have a certain amount of electricity they get charged for per month or something? Or... They get free credit from government UK. Oh, interesting. What video are you sending? Alright, let me see what video you put in there. Sorry, I was responding to a friend. That might be the background fan. Because there is a fan going over there. Hold up, let me check something. Hold up. Oh, I see. Hold up. I wonder if I put on NVIDIA... Oh, I didn't have NVIDIA broadcast going on. That'll do it. Okay, so hold on. So, if I go into... Okay. How about now? Is that a little bit better? Testing, testing, testing. Testicles, testicles. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. Testicles, testicles. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's good audio. Oh, I can fix the audio. Okay. Just had to back that off a couple decibels. How about now? I think TikTok is just scanning background audio. It's probably nothing. TikTok is sometimes always doing a little bit too much. But, yeah. Alright, so there we go. I think we're doing okay now. You sound like in a water bottle. Hold up. Testing, testing. Okay, that might be because NVIDIA is being a bit derpy. Okay, let's see now. Dashed it, dashed it, dashed it. Oh, well. Seems about the same. All right. Feel like TikTok's audio is too high. It might be TikTok because I'm not even peaking over in the OBS audio. In fact, even over on the panel over here, I'm not even peaking. And I can back it off, but from what I remember, that was also another issue that it had. Alright. Let's back that off. F the TikTok users. Yeah, F the TikTok users. F the peasant mobile phone users. I'm kidding. What do I look like, Blizzard? Did you know that I once worked at... No, I'm kidding. Sorry, I had to make that joke. Alright. Alright, now let me, get the audio confirmed that we are working over here. Did he mention Blizzard Games and his dad? Bro might have worked at Blizzard Games with his dad. At least somebody got the reference there. You know, I have not heard from that dude in, like, ever since the whole Stop Killing Games drama. And I'm okay with that. Yes, Prisms, you're on stream. Okay, where were we? So for those of you that don't know, we do have this review on Stream Channel. We're getting a lot of content, which I'm thankful for all of you. I may have to start doing content more to catch up on all of this. We have a lot of different things to catch up on. Okay, so... Okay, here we are. Your phone is now required to spy on you. It's the law. That was the last thing we had.
This law will affect everyone. California just passed a law that requires your phone to spy on you. Not a suggestion.
Your phone's a snitch!
Update that you can opt out of, but a legal requirement. Every app you open, every launch, every download, your device is now required to report information about you to anyone who asks. They call it a safety feature, but I'm going to prove that it's something much more dangerous than that. California just passed a new law, and on the surface it sounds reasonable. Age verification. About
The majority of the time, if the government requires it, it's not for your safety. Like, maybe 90% of the time, it's not for your safety. It's for their safety. To control you.
protecting the kids. Nobody's going to argue with that in public. But I spent 20 years as a professional hacker.
Have you uploaded reaction videos? They're popular on YouTube? No, I haven't. I maybe should.
How they get used to control people. And when I read this law, I saw something that most people are completely missing. This law doesn't just apply to social media. It doesn't just...
I've done a few of them.
It doesn't just apply to your phone. It applies to every piece of software on every device that you own. Your laptop, your desktop, your tablet, every operating system running on every machine, including the free open source software that millions of people use.
Oh, so he's just talking about the California AB, was it 1013 law? Yeah, okay. I'm from the government and here to help. No, you're not! Get the F off my lawn!
To run their businesses, learn to code, and build things without asking for anyone's permission. Yes, Linux. This is going to be insane. And the people who wrote this law had no idea that software like that even existed. That ignorance just broke something important.
Okay, yeah, so this is talking about the stuff that we've already, you know, hammered the point home across. I mean, well, this video is like 8 days ago, so we've hammered this point across, like, multiple times. It's bad, it's affecting open source, it's not good for anyone, and it's also, you know, the same point that I made before where these politicians are ignorant of the things out there. It's, I think I even included that in my own YouTube video that I pushed out there, so if you forgive me, we're going to move on to the next video, because it's basically like we've been through this already before. No offense to that creator. I've seen him around a few times. He's a great creator. It's just, we've already had, like, I think 3 or 4 videos talking about the exact same thing, and it feels like beating a dead horse. Do Motorola phones use Graphene OS? Not yet. So Motorola officially has gone into a partnership with Graphene OS, but no Motorola phone has been announced to use Graphene OS yet. So, my understanding is we may not have news about that until end of the year, maybe next year, but chances are my next phone purchase, aside from another iPhone, may end up being a Motorola phone, because I generally keep an iPhone and a Graphene phone, and then I also have a Samsung phone as my TikTok phone, but if the camera ends up being good enough in the Graphene phone as it was in the Pixel 7a, I may consolidate them into the same device. Yeah, it is a lot of phones. But I generally keep another Samsung phone as a social media phone. Not necessarily because, like, people are out there like, oh, you know, I'm worried about, you know, social media, you know, sucking up my data. It's more so that social media, a lot of those apps are an ADHD hellmouth of my attention. I cannot have TikTok on my main phone. I limit myself to maybe 15 to 20 minutes of TikTok per week. This week, I've maybe gone over that, in part because I've had to respond to a few comments, because I've posted a few videos as well, and I've gone to maybe 30 or 40 minutes this week. So, yeah. And then, of course, I've, as I said, rejoined Instagram earlier, so I'm now cross-posting shorts to YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram. So there's videos going to all 3 platforms at once, although the YouTube shorts that are linked to videos, I'm manually uploading because I have to link those so that you can go watch the video. But yeah. Do you think Graphene OS will ever end up selling out or ending up not being as private as it is currently? No. No. So originally it came from the developer of Copperhead OS. They've always had a background in wanting to have more private and secure phones. They're not going to sell out in that way. At least as far as I know. Alright, let's move on. We tested 100 power stations. Here's what we learned. So we'll move back over to here. Burp.
Power stations. You might use them every single day. You might only use them a couple times a year. But when you need them, they need to work. Which is why here at the lab, we test.
This is actually really timely because I'm looking at getting a power station for the ham shack. I need one for the ham radio computer that I attach to it, because there is a 1500 VA UPS that I'm going to actually be moving over to the second computer over here, because the UPS over on the stream machine apparently died, as we discovered a couple nights ago when there was a power flicker, and the stream machine lost power for a second, but the main machine did not. So we're going to be moving that over, but I need to get a lithium iron phosphate battery for the ham radio so I can keep that tendered for a backup situation, but I'm going to need a power bank so that I can keep the ham radio PC powered. What I would ideally like to find is a power bank that lets me do both AC plug as well as direct bare lead connection, because I need to have bare leads for my ham radio. What are you talking about? Can't you get them to give a new phone a contract? Contract phones depend on the plan. Contract phones are kind of going out of style, that it's actually shifting more and more to the European, where you buy them outright, or maybe you buy them as a plan. I know when I buy my phones, I buy them and finance them. Like when I got my Google phone, I actually financed that through, Google has what's called Synchrony. So you get that financed through them, but my phone is able to be used through any carrier that I desire.
All power stations and the service that they come with to the best of our ability.
Elon needs to hurry up a subscription Neuralink Meta Ray-Ban collaboration package so we can just ditch all this. F that.
So welcome back to the lab where our opinions cannot be bought. We have tested well over 100 power stations here on the channel. Some were really, really good, and some were absolute trash.
So how is the Spectrum phone service? I don't know how I've been feeling about
We tell it how it is, so you
going to that.
clearly know which ones were good and which ones weren't. But after over,
I think it's what, a Verizon MVNO?
lab, what have we learned? All power stations work. Most of them anyways. If you're gonna buy a $20 power station from Temu, it'll do the job. It might be finicky, it might have a short lifespan, the battery might die when it says 20% instead of when it says 0%, but for the most part, it's gonna work. And if you're trying to power, you know, your computer or some light appliances, it will do the job.
Gulu.
The money you're spending when you invest in a more expensive unit almost always goes.
Power stations usually have solar power input if you have solar panels. Yeah, but I don't need a solar panel. I just need power.
Sometimes the cheap ones will do just like I said earlier, though. You'll get to 30% battery life and it will just turn off. And it's like you didn't calculate that. That wasn't part of the plan. And that's kind of what you get for cheap now. In saying that, you don't always have to look at like a Temu option. You could look at something like a Pecron, or even Blue Eddies are relatively cheap. If you're not pushing a power station to the absolute limits every day, then you probably won't even notice the minor performance issues that come with a lower price point power station. Here at the lab, we just push all of them through the same standard testing to make sure that whatever you're after is what you're gonna get. It's the same thing as buying a Corvette versus a Honda Civic. If you go ahead and buy a Corvette, it's probably gonna cost you more money. You want to make
Rock
sure that
powered
it actually
vibrator.
goes faster than a Civic. If you buy a Corvette for more money and it does the same thing as the Civic, there's no point in spending more money. And here we have found, for the most part, when you spend more money on these things, you have more efficient power stations. They have more features and functionality in terms of connecting to apps,
Okay.
different output modes, or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, if you're just looking for something that works, a lot of times you don't have to fork out a ton
Thanks,
of money.
mods. Thank me!
The second thing that we have learned, features are for marketing. Features are great selling points. They look really cool on a website. It sounds really cool when you say your power station can sit plugged into the wall and use the app to monitor the weather, and when a storm is coming, it'll charge itself up. That's great. In reality, no one here at the lab has ever used those features in practice. In our experience, it's pretty much just, does it work? Does it have the right plugs and ports that you need? Any of the features are a bonus. They're cool to have.
Ah, that's a
But I
pretty
think
beefy port.
had a unit and they were bummed out about a lack of features. When the power goes out, it's like you just want to plug your appliances in and have them work.
Do it, charge phone!
Like what you can do from the app. It's like, is your fridge on? Is your house warm? Can you charge your phone?
Yeah, the features are only like 10%.
Yeah,
What you're
it's,
figure out.
it's not as important as everybody makes it seem. Idle consumption is the silent battery killer. This is something that no power station company really advertises on their website. I think we've seen it once with this Blue Eddy Sodium Pioneer 1500, and I think that's because they're trying to sell you on the fact that it's a different battery chemistry and it's still good. But for the most part, people don't advertise idle consumption, and it is one of the most important things. It's why we test it on all of our power stations. Basically what it is when you have a battery, when you turn on the inverter, like the 120 volt wall plugs on the front, it's converting that power to AC power even if you're not using it. And doing that consumes power. So if you turn on the power station and you plug in your sump pump, which turns on every once in a while, you're using power just having the AC plugs on, even if you're not touching the power station. And we've simulated blackouts with the F3800.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It would use like 80 watts an hour, and we woke up in the morning and the thing was almost dead. Way faster than our math said it would be dead. And this is
Interesting.
people run into. They buy a unit, they think it's going to last 3 days. The idle consumption's terrible. It lasts.
That's a
day,
big ass
and now it's
power
like, that's
bank.
not what you thought you were getting for your money.
That's
Idle
like bigger than a nice subwoofer.
something that I think everyone should take seriously. It's something that I think brands need to start putting on their websites. And it's something that if you guys watch our videos and you're watching a review, trying to see if it's a product that you might want to buy, take into account that number, and then go check out one of our videos on how to actually calculate your usage, including the idle consumption, because it's very important. Customer service is extremely important and very hard to come by. We have mystery shopped tons of brands here on the channel. Anchor is pretty much the only power station brand that we have found to have good quality customer service. If you call Anchor Solix, you actually get someone on the phone who understands the product, speaks clear English to you. You can have a good conversation with them.
Interesting.
And go through your problem. The biggest thing that we find with a lot of these companies is that either there's no product knowledge. You call
Ouch.
I have this problem and they don't know anything you're talking about. That was the Delta Pro Ultra the first time we had it, and I called in. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to plug the adapter in. Where does it go? Your website says it works. And they're like, it just goes right here. And it's like, dude, I'm holding it, I'm looking at it, it doesn't go there. They have no idea. We've been on calls where you can hear people going through manuals, or like, oh, just hold on, and they're clicking around. Anyway, customer support is very important because sometimes you just have a unit that has a problem. It happens to us all the time. You're in the middle of using it, something doesn't work right. The firmware is new and they didn't know there was a problem. If you can't call and get help, you're screwed. Same thing with sales. If you're calling in and you're trying to get someone to help you decide which unit is best for you,
Yeah, you
and they don't know what they're talking
guess
about,
you need
pitch you
to
something
deal
that
with
makes no
that.
sense. Happens to us all the time. Make sure that you at least consider, if you're getting a cheap unit, just know that you might not get customer support with that. And if there is a problem, you might be on your own.
I'm used to that.
Website claims are usually inaccurate. Here's how I think this happened. EcoFlow made a website. They did it first. It looks how it looks. Cool. Squares, photos, images. Everyone else made the exact same website as EcoFlow.
Ah.
So first of all, that's a buzzkill. Have some creativity. Second of all, people just throw things on their website. And they think if they put it there, it's true, which is not really the case. A lot of times there's features and things advertised on websites that we get, like Blue Eddy's Sodium 1500 says it's a 1.2 meter drop tested. We dropped it from under a meter and it exploded.
Damn!
It's not drop tested. right? And there's a lot of claims like this with features on apps or functionality, or it'll power your fridge for 3 days and it'll power your fridge for 7 hours because they don't know how to do the math. There's a lot of stuff on there that they're just overselling you, and they're kind of getting away with it. This is kind of like early stages for a lot of this technology. People are just throwing out best guesses and hoping that they land. Come watch a video that we've made, do your own calculations and figure it out, because 9.9 times out of 10 they're wrong. Prices for power
Look at
stations.
this Love Island. No! No! We are not doing that!
Because it doesn't really help any of these brands build trust with you guys or even us. If you want an iPhone,
Be looking at APC Schneider. Well, APC I don't think does power banks. They do UPSs.
and then they always have it set to what it actually is. Pacron F3000 will be like, what's the price of it?
It's on, it retails for $1,999. It's on for $799.
Exactly, but it's not $1,999, and it never has been, and it never will be. It's always been $799 or less.
Which is a great deal. But
It's a good deal, but it's just like this marketing tactic that everyone thinks it is working, and it's just dumb. Don't fall for it. Don't think that you have to buy anything now. We have discount codes with all the brands that we trust, and we put them in the videos of the power stations to help you guys save some money, to get you a better deal than the sale price. But don't go on there and see a sale price unless it's a sales period. If we make a video about a sales period, it probably actually matters. But for the rest of the time, the price is always on sale. So don't ever take that seriously.
Yeah, I never understood why, like, companies always put something always on sale when it's just like, just tell us that's the freaking price.
And the final point, most videos on power stations are sponsored in some way, shape, or form. You have people that are lifestyle creators, maybe they have like a homestead or they live in an RV or something like that. They get sent a product, they are raving about it because that product actually changes their life somehow. So they're genuinely really excited about it. I've been there, and it is cool when you get something that changes your life and you want to tell people about how cool it is, but they don't a lot of times really test it or know much about it. They're just stoked that they have it and they're telling you, and then you go buy it, and maybe it wasn't the best thing for you to buy. There's also
That happens a lot. That's why I'm, like, very cautious about people that give you, like, for example, tech products that aren't, like, tech professionals themselves. Like, all the people that are, like, selling VPNs and stuff that aren't in technology. Like, do you notice how, like, everyone's trying to sell you a VPN that isn't in technology? Like, am I affiliated with Proton VPN? Yes. But generally, I'm not selling the VPN aspect, I'm selling the email aspect of it. They advertise NordVPN at my football games. Really? Yeah, buy us to protect you from hackers. Yeah, VPN ain't gonna protect you from hackers. Especially if you, like, I compromise a website and then you download some malicious malware or something like that that happens to slip by everything.
people who are just asked to say things or do things in a video to, you know, help promote our key features or help say this or say that. We want to market the video.
I'll pop you in. I bet you will.
And then there's a ton of views because the brand will put money behind it as like an ad, and then there's only positive things going on there. Sometimes they'll let you say your opinion, and then they say that that's
Comes on the big screen with a big blue bubble saying "Buy Nord."
points because they didn't like it there. So that's something that we have sacrificed a ton of money and spent a ton of money on products.
Nope, the stream is definitely lagging right now. Why is it lagging? God damn it. I thought I fixed this. Hold on. Wait, it seems to be catching up. Hold up. Hold up. Maybe. Maybe. Hold on. 1 second. One second, I'm looking at something on the firewall. Where the hell is that little troubleshooting script I had? Where the hell is it? Okay, no, it's back. That was weird why it was doing that. I'm gonna have to look into why that's happening. And I can't wait for Spectrum to frickin' give me my damn high split.
That we couldn't get given to us because companies don't like working with us, because we say how it is. Here at the lab, all the testing that we do is like to simulate real life. We try to do all of our testing in a way where you would actually come across these scenarios or situations in real life. We don't use weird machines and computers and technology that people don't understand or don't care about. It's more just like, hey, if I actually bought this and took it camping or took it to my house when the power was out, does it do what it says? If I use it realistically, is it going to perform as advertised? It's not that hard, but it's somehow pretty hard to get an honest read on a lot of these products. And that's not to say that everyone does that. We watch a lot of videos before we publish our own to make sure that there's not things other people have found that we didn't miss, or that we can make sure we're giving you guys the most information possible. But we do notice that there's just a heavy load of people who are just clearly sponsored if you take long enough to look.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot too.
At the end of the day, if you're spending your hard-earned money, just make sure you get your information from a place you can trust, which is often not even the brand's website. Just make sure that before you spend your hard-earned money, you do the right research. If you still don't know exactly what power station you need, if you're in that process, we actually made a quiz. It takes 30 seconds, gives you an instant recommendation based on your actual needs for a product that we would recommend to you guys. Otherwise, that's pretty much all we got. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you're not already, and we will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out and stay charged.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so we got the Donut Lab solid state battery test 4. So what's the result?
You could charge to 80% from 0 in 12 minutes instead of 26. That's the difference between taking a little restroom break and grabbing a bag of chips and having to sit down to like a full lunch. That is pretty significant and a real quality of life improvement. One fact about every battery ever made is that charging gets harder as it fills. Think about a parking lot. When it's empty, you pull into any spot pretty much instantly. But as it fills, you're weaving around traffic and looking for open spots. It's kind of the same with batteries. Ions inside a battery do the same thing, finding open slots in the crystal structure and running out of easy ones as state of charge climbs. Multiple forces all push one direction and it slows down. Ions run out of room, voltage hits the ceiling.
By the way, I think I figured out what it was. Twingate may have been sending some stuff through the upload. I think my phone was still talking to it or stuff.
And the heat starts building up following one equation. Heat equals current squared times resistance. And the squared part changes everything because doubling the charge rate quadruples the heat. Going from 1C to 5C isn't 5 times harder thermally. It's 25 times harder. And going to 11C is 121 times harder. And that's why every fast-charging EV uses liquid cooling, and why an air-cooled pack at 5C for nearly 5 minutes is nearly unheard of. All these forces say that the curve should taper smoothly. Now, this is the data from a DC fast charge test from State of Charge. One of my favorite YouTube channels for everything DC fast charging in terms of testing. If you want to nerd out, definitely check out State of Charge. But you can see that the charge power climbs to up into the 350s, but it takes a while before it actually reaches its full. And now this probably is because the pack wasn't warmed up. So when the pack reaches full temperature, it reaches its best charge rate. But then around this point, it starts to taper. So you can see this tapering down line.
Okay.
There's a little dip here. I think Tom from State of Charge mentioned that this might have been from the charging station and not from the car. Yeah, and then you can
Interesting.
see that it tapers further. But it only holds that really high level for a very short amount of time. It's already under 300 kilowatts by like 38%. And then it's under 200 kilowatts by 50%. So even at a 400 kilowatt charging station, you're only actually getting those kinds of charge speeds for a very, very brief amount of time. And it's the same on my Tesla as well. So that's the original data. This is the simplified version of it. Now, all those forces tell us that the line should taper like the Lucid graph. But the donut curve isn't a taper, it's a staircase. And the VTT lab data tells us why. The first author of this data, if you will, the first actor, is the BMS. The flat peak of
Why does it look like the housing
14 to 4.
skipped a huge part on the video? How did I skip?
45% charge curve. The BMS, the cooling.
Oh, sorry, I was trying to type something over here. I'm trying to look into this. Okay, so we got the intro over here. There we go.
Story. So this is their data, and as you can see here, the test starts at around 9%. The C rate climbs all the way to about 5.7, and it pretty much holds it. There's a little dip here, but it holds pretty much an identical rate all the way through to about here, dips up a little bit, and then it starts to taper around 43% state of charge.
Okay.
Then it goes down to another little plateau here, until finally it tapers all the way down to 80%. First thing to note is their test was starting around 9% state of charge. I would have loved to have seen 0 to 100, but we don't have that. All we have is 9% to 80%.
Why 9%? That's so weird.
Kind of the fastest charging EV we have in the US right now. Within a minute, the pack ramps up to 103 kilowatts, a 5.7 C charge rate at the pack level, and held it flat for nearly 5 minutes. And that got the pack from 10 to 50% in about 5 minutes, 10 to 70 in 9, and 10 to 80 in 12 minutes, which is incredibly quick. 103 kilowatts might sound small next to like Lucid's 400 kilowatt fast charging speed, but a big battery at a low rate hits high voltage easily. What matters is the C rate. Like if you have one battery and you can charge it with this much amount of electricity, when you add two, you can double the electricity going in. It doesn't mean each cell is any better at charging, just you have more of them. So a really big pack means more power in, more power out more easily. This was on a 18 kilowatt hour motorcycle battery. Now for context, other
You just watched an old page on about wine. Is that still the best way to run wind programs? It's pretty much, yeah, it. Wine is still being wrapped in new ways with like Proton and stuff, but yeah.
electric motorcycles I've seen, like the Zero motorcycle, for example, charges at around 12 kilowatts, and the very best I've seen is around 25. So this is between 8 and 4 times better than the best motorcycles. The Lucid Gravity, the line here in blue, has a 116 kilowatt hour pack. It's liquid cooled and has a 924 volt architecture. This is like the best in the business right now in the US. And it peaks at 3.2 C. This little motorcycle hits 5.7 C, nearly double. And it's not just a peak. At 30%, 50%, and 70%, the Donut battery sustains roughly twice the Lucid's rate across the entire session. Comments on Donut's videos claim that other makers like BYD and CATL already achieved 3 and 4 C, but you got to remember that they have massive liquid-cooled battery packs. And I think with the new Naxtra batteries from CATL with sodium ion, you might even see faster charge rates than that. But it's not apples to apples because this is a motorcycle with air-cooled battery cooling. Now, to keep myself honest, 3 videos ago I said the real-world rate of charge will be closer to 5C with a 12-minute charge time. And that's kind of what we're seeing. 5.7 even better, but around the realm of what I thought. Because when you put it into a pack, you're not just blowing up a battery at 100 degrees Celsius. You have to maintain some level of control.
All right, we're going to adjust the cues, by the way, so hopefully that won't hurt the upload. Basically what happened was my pipe was set to 33 megabits, which is basically the full pipe. So we're setting the whole thing to 30, tightening it up, and then setting a bit more weight. that should keep the stream going because we're using 22 to 24 megabits, which should leave 6 to 8 megabits for everything else in the house, which is more than enough, at least until I get that high split working. Or when Spectrum decides to. So, alright. Hopefully we don't drop my stream.
Comfortable with. And as an OEM, you're responsible for the warranty of your battery pack. I've been researching tech like this on my channel now for nearly a decade, and I couldn't do this without all the insights I've learned, especially on travel. We're going to China for some special episodes next month, and our sponsor Surfshark VPN is going to be vital. I use Surfshark VPN to hide my...
What did we just say about VPN providers, like, everywhere? Everyone who doesn't have a tech background, like in networking or cybersecurity, is just like hawking a VPN.
True IP address. It's like meeting someone to sell something on Craigslist at a coffee shop instead of your house. Better to keep that private. In China, many American services like YouTube will be blocked, but hop on Surfshark VPN and it'll be like you're at home. Choose different locations when shopping for deals online and you might be surprised at how much the prices differ. It's like calling a plumber when you live in Beverly Hills versus somewhere more affordable. On trips, I often use...
That whole idea of getting cheaper rates by going through different VPN does not necessarily always work. Just use OpenVPN, bro. It doesn't work that way. OpenVPN is just a protocol. You still have to set up the server somewhere.
Public Wi-Fi.
And a lot of these VPNs are using OpenVPN. And at this point in time, you should be using WireGuard.
But with Surfshark VPN, all your traffic is encrypted. So even if bad actors are trying to steal your data, your passwords, or anything else, they can't. Why I love Surfshark in particular is because it supports unlimited devices. So whether I got my iPhone or iPad or laptop, I'm safe. Plus, with over 4,500 servers in 100 countries and no log VPN service, your options are massive and your online activity is safe. They even have other great security products like Surfshark Antivirus. So if you've heard about VPNs and you've been...
Surfshark Antivirus! Oh, it's gonna protect us from the hackers! You hear that, fam? Tried WireGuard, but it was slower somehow for me. Well, WireGuard's built in more to the Linux kernel, so I don't know about on Windows and stuff, but yeah.
Curious, you're going...
Is Molvad good? Molvad's okay. The issue with Molvad, oh. Excellent chef. Is Molvad good? Molvad is alright. The only issue you'll have with Molvad is that it won't work with streaming services. But I'm not saying no. I do use it in like poor man's version of like a zero trust network access with my Cubes laptop when I go to DEF CON. But I definitely lean more towards Proton VPN when I'm trying to get general usage while I'm traveling on public Wi-Fi. So, like when I'm in Portugal, when I was in Portugal, when I was in Germany and stuff like that, and I was, you know, wanting to access Netflix and stuff in the USA, Proton worked, Molvad didn't. But Molvad is definitely more private because you can purchase it using Monero, or even cash. But yeah. I mean, I am, yes, disclaimer, I am affiliated with Proton, but I will still recommend Molvad, but you have to know the limitations and all of that usual stuff. And like I always say, VPNs are kind of overhyped if you're not changing your behaviors behind using a VPN. Most of the time, I just use a VPN to protect my connection when I'm on a public intranet, if anything, from being sniffed. Rolling your own VPN is like rolling your own email server. It still needs a place to call home, making it a target. Yep. Also, thank you for the super chat there, excellent chef. Appreciate that. Yes, we have receipts over here. I come with receipts.
Going to love Surfshark. Go to surfshark.com/2bit or use coupon code 2bit at checkout to get 4...
Does NordVPN go? Good. No! Okay, it's not the most horrible thing. I just still got a bad taste in my mouth from Nord and the way that they didn't do proper ethical disclosure when they had that small security issue many years ago. But yeah, I digress.
Extra month today. Huge thanks to Surfshark and you. Now back to the show. So to put this into perspective, like how killer this charge curve is, what if we took the donut battery in a motorcycle and scaled it up to the size of the Lucid Pack, for example? So there's two ways to look at this. First of all, if instead of charging at 3.2C like the Lucid did, if we got the full 5.7, we'd be hitting 686 kilowatts of charge speed, nearly double, right, from the Lucid's 375 or so. That is insane, and no charge that we have today can support that. Now, I wanted to give you a sense of what this would look like, right? To 20%, it would take 4 minutes and 30 seconds on the Lucid today, and if it had the donut pack, it'd be 2:45. And by the way, I'll make these graphs available for you guys to play with and check out. All you gotta do is join our newsletter, and we'll share all this with you. Now, at 50%, the donut pack in a Lucid Gravity would charge 5 minutes and 36 seconds faster. Now, to 80%, the Lucid Gravity with the donut pack would only take about...
Your router lets you set up a WireGuard. I wouldn't really set up a WireGuard or any VPN on your router. The issue is you can actually get a double NAT situation. Because of how that works very often. In most cases, it's not worth it doing a VPN on your router. Unless you're doing a site-to-site VPN. And that's a very limited use case. If you need to use a VPN, do it on your actual client. But in your actual home, there's not really many use cases to actually run a VPN short of, oh, you're torrenting or you're getting around geo-blocks. I know some people will say, well, you're trying to hide your traffic from your ISP. I mean, short of torrenting and again, geo-blocking, I don't really see the point in trying to hide your traffic from the ISP. Most people, more than anything, need to just avoid the DNS traffic, which just is as simple as going DNS over TLS or DNS over HTTPS to remedy that, because that's where most of their inspection is actually going over. But yeah. Tailscale gave me triple DNS. Took a couple of days to figure out why my virtual machines weren't getting proper LAN DHCP. Oh, that'll happen. Yep.
12 minutes and 30 seconds. Nearly 14 and a half minutes faster than its current pack in half the time. So this is really the context. If you're going to get a car and it had this donut pack in it, you could charge to 80% from zero in 12 minutes instead of 26. That's the difference between taking a little restroom break and grabbing a bag of chips and having to sit down to like a full lunch. That is pretty significant and a real quality of life improvement. One fact about every battery ever made is that charging gets harder as it fills. Think about a parking lot. When it's empty, you pull into...
You're damn right it gets harder as it fills.
But as it fills, you're weaving around
Giggity.
and looking for open spots. It's kind of the same with batteries. Ions inside a battery do the same thing, finding open slots in the crystal structure and running out of easy ones as state of charge climbs. Multiple forces all push one direction, and it slows down. Ions run out.
God damn it, one direction, they're everywhere.
Heat starts building up following one equation. Heat equals current squared times resistance. And the squared part changes everything, because doubling the charge rate quadruples the heat. Going from 1C to 5C isn't 5 times harder thermally. It's 25 times harder.
Interesting.
Going to 11C is 121 times harder. And that's why every fast-charging EV uses liquid cooling, and why an air-cooled pack at 5C for nearly 5 minutes is nearly unheard of. All these forces say that the curve should taper smoothly. Now, this is the data from a DC fast charge test from State of Charge. One of my favorite YouTube channels for everything DC fast charging in terms of testing. If you want to nerd out, definitely check out State of Charge. But you can see that the charge power climbs to up into the 350s.
If you're traveling and there's a Gov service that requires a residential address on its Gov, and then there's a VPN within your home on a home cluster that'd serve you well and it's free. I think you got bigger problems if you're dealing with that kind of thing. Yeah. Proton is not secure. No, Proton is secure. Proton's just not anonymous like everyone thinks it is. And that's not something they'd really ever claim to be, unless you take extra steps. They just got busted. No, they didn't. Go watch the damn video. You're on my YouTube. I literally made a 19-minute video going into this. Instead of actually going and reading headlines, how about you actually go read the facts? They didn't go and just give info over. The organization was being investigated for vandalism, arson, and doxing, and then they went and did a lawful process to get information through the Swiss government. Proton had to comply, handed over the payment information that they had. That was it.
But it takes a while before it actually reaches its full. And now this probably is because the pack wasn't warmed up. So when the pack reaches full temperature, it reaches its best charge rate. But then around this point...
Except this for when Proton gets breached. I didn't say Proton will never get breached. Look, it's a matter of time before anything gets breached here and there for anything. I mean, nothing's infallible.
Bring down line. And then there's a little dip here. I think Tom from State of Charge mentioned that this might have been...
But I don't judge how companies secure based on the fact that they never get breached. I judge them by how they respond to a breach.
For a very short amount of time. It's already under 300 kilowatts by like 38%. And then it's under...
What video am I on? I'm on the Donut Lab Battery Test 4.
You're only actually getting those kinds of charge speeds for a very, very brief amount of time. And it's the same on my Tesla as well. So that's the...
In Denmark, they make it hard to connect to your ID, and if you're traveling abroad, it'd be hard to reply to them.
Like the Lucid Graph.
I don't know about Denmark. I haven't really been there.
It's a staircase. And the VTT lab data tells us why. The first author of this data, if you will, the first actor, is the BMS. The flat peak of 100...
That would be more suspicious if a big company never got hacked.
...is like a straight line. Never 104.
I wouldn't say it'd be suspicious if they never got hacked. I'd be more suspicious if they tried to sweep it under the rug.
And never 104.
Did you see little M got compromised? Oh, you have to link it.
Amps from the very first second with no ramp and no hesitation. And the cell accepted it immediately. The motorcycle took 37 seconds to ramp to 103 and capped at half the cell's proven rate. At 5C in the VTT test, the cell with one heatsink held constant current all the way to 87% state of charge.
Jeez.
The longer the cell got, the lower the internal resistance dropped, and the longer sustained full power before voltage forced a taper. The motorcycle held it to 45% before the BMS pulled the plug, not because the cell couldn't keep going, but because the pack ran out of thermal headroom. So right here, you can see that something happens here where now you start to taper down to a lower level. But based on what we see from VTT test 1, I think this right here is thermal related. Think of this like a ship with a leak in it. If you have a bucket and you're pouring out water as quickly as the water is coming in and you're dumping it out, you can stay afloat. But if the water's coming in faster than you can dump it out.
Opinion in general with it. Wait, okay.
Any system has a cooling capacity. How quickly it can dump heat. The bigger the radiator.
How soon for Trump to ban this because his energy buddies can't get their hands on the majority supply for this battery tech.
With air cooling on both sides.
3.5 seconds after it hits the market.
And Verge has probably set a limit for how hot they want this cell to get for their own internal reasons. It could be unrelated to what the donut.
He's gonna blame China.
Sustained. So when this limit, let's just make up a number. Let's just call it 60 degrees Celsius. Let's say it hits that temperature right here. The BMS is programmed to lower the current to then bring that temperature down. And then it continues to do that until the temperature reaches equilibrium, meaning that the pack's ability to discharge heat out of the pack is the same as the input heat coming in from the charge rate. Then it holds that for a little bit longer. So this again is kind of a flat line. So there's probably a next set point where it charges it here. Now this is probably the equilibrium, meaning that the cell could charge at this rate forever and the heat coming in and the thermal capacity of the motorcycle is equal. So electrical chemical limits are tied to how full the battery is. This drop is tied to the clock. A temperature threshold.
New channel, but I feel like you're a home labber. Oh, absolutely.
The thermal math confirms it. In the VTT test, a single cell at 5C with one heatsink reached 61 degrees in about 8 minutes. Now,
If you haven't been in the Discord or the
could reach that limit faster, although
Matrix server,
cycle has fans, right? So it has active cooling, whereas
here, I'll grab it from my Mastodon.
heatsink sitting on top with passive cooling only. So we have data point 1, a BMS limitation, right? The cell is just strictly sticking to what the BMS is providing it. The cell could go higher, but it isn't. It's just capped right there. Then I think we have thermal considerations in the BMS, and the BMS is throttling power to make.
That's my home lab network. At least what I just set up for the zero trusting on my Mastodon server. Do I have better pictures over here? Yeah, there we go. So those are the zero trust network access nodes in the new Unify. That's the home network rack. That's my AI servers down there. That box over here is going to be the new honeypot, which will be running an LLM. I have to put the new GPU in there. But yeah. Why are all the video sites going down? What do you mean the video sites? You mean the LLM video sites? Because they're expensive as shit to run! Join the Discord. Nice. Thoughts on having a network on a separate power panel? What do you mean a separate power panel? Like a separate breaker or something in there? I actually have this network rack running on its own 20 amp circuit, and I'll have to show it sometime. Y'all can ping me in the Discord of the Matrix server, and I can remember. But there's an isolated grounding bus bar behind here with its own 6-gauge wire going out to the grounding rods. There's 7 ground rods around the house. All tied and bonded together, but they all bond together to the shielded cable that I have here. So yeah. I sent the breach in general, though it's on X because I use X. You heathen, you! Alright, let's see. Hold up.
The third author is electrochemistry, and it only shows up at the end. The final taper from 71 to 80% is the only part of
Wait, where's my Discord? Oh, there's my Discord.
the curve that looks normal, like a graduated, smooth slope. The cells are approaching their 4.3 volt ceiling. Remember in test 1, we talked about how constant...
Okay, so let's see. Light LLM has been compromised. Do not update. We just discovered that Light LLM PyPy release... For fuck's sake! Another frickin' LLM thing can't keep their supply chain frickin' secured. You had your frickin' library compromised. Did y'all learn nothing from Shai Hulud? How did they get compromised? Was enough to exfiltrate SSH keys, AW... It was poisoned for only less than an hour, so how did it get poisoned? So this is the reason why even I'm considering setting up an artifacting and proxy repo for myself. If I had the money, I'd set up Sonatype. But I don't have that kind of money. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, in terms of the CI/CD, basically, you're looking at something like Sonatype or JFrog. Actually. Yeah, so this is kind of what you're looking at. I think it's, Nexus? Wait, hold on. Ah! It's actually free. I forgot, it's the Enterprise they charge. Okay, then. Anyway, but yeah, basically there's ways that you can do artifacting and stuff, and the idea is you want to, for your company, you don't want to just have them go out to pypi.org and grab the latest stuff or npm install. You always want to have approved secured versions of software libraries get released. And then what you want to do, so you want to have an artifact repository, and then you want to have a way for all of your developers to proxy in, so that way when you go and download your libraries, you're not downloading direct from PyPy, you're downloading from your proxy. Make sense?
Constant voltage charging works. Once you reach a certain level of voltage, it becomes a constant voltage situation where you keep the voltage capped and you taper the current to maintain that current all the way to full. That is what's happening here. So this is the only part that is cell dependent. Everything happening here is about the pack and the Verge motorcycle, not the donut battery. Okay, now for the really fun stuff.
God damn it, TikTok, you went derp. And it went to a different creator.
So what happens with a liquid cooled pack that was a lucid gravity size? Donut C rate applied to a lucid gravity sized 120 kilowatt hour pack gives a peak of 686 kilowatts all the way up here. Now this isn't realistic because the charger that he was charging this car at was a 400 kilowatt charger, so it couldn't even support this. But see,
so I am totally like looking at this right now for my own projects. Just seeing what it can do. The only annoying thing is I can't do SSO with it using SAML. But, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway. Yeah. That or JFrog.
CATL and some other companies in China are introducing megawatt and 1.5 megawatt chargers. So there in the future, we might see that. But I wanted to show you just what 5.7C, which is what the Donut Lab test was on the motorcycle, looks like scaled up to a lucid gravity. Huge, fat charge curve all the way over to about 40.
Is it possible to upgrade, for us to upgrade our older tech with a solid state battery in the future? It is possible, potentially, depending on a few other factors, but you're going to have to possibly change some circuitry, depending on a few things there. Like, for example, you can't just drop a lithium iron phosphate into a lithium ion, just using that as an example. You can get 18650s that physically are the same, but electrically they are slightly different. So there would have to be some different stuff.
The real gravity today.
Have a good night, Bjorn.
Steam all the way to about here. And I think the reason why is probably internal temperatures. If you ever have preconditioning, batteries like to be at a certain temperature to reach their max charge rate. That happens probably here. And then it starts tapering down. But the donut pack in a lucid gravity with liquid cooling could keep on going all the way to about here. So at 45% state of charge, which is, we're just taking that data from the motorcycle, you'd get here in about 5 minutes, 20 seconds instead of 10 minutes in a traditional lucid.
Jeez.
45 seconds faster. And all the way, you're speeding up, you're getting there faster and faster. And to get to 80%, which is what I would do if I was road tripping this car, I'd charge to 80%, unplug, and keep driving. Because that last 80 to 100% takes forever. But to 80%, you'd get there in about 12 minutes instead of 26 minutes like you could today. 14 minutes faster. So this Lucid Gravity, which is like the best road tripping car in the US right now, with a donut pack, would be like gasoline stop levels of fast. That's why this test matters. It is.
I don't know if it'd be gasoline stop. Well, okay, maybe. Let's play this out here for a second. You go in for a gas stop. You plug it in for the charge. You go take a pee, maybe a shit. Go grab a donut or, some coffee, some drink, stretch your legs. Yeah, okay. 12 minutes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks.
wild. I mentioned that this data is not really reflective because you're limited not by the car or the pack, but by the infrastructure, by the charger. And I don't see 700 kilowatt chargers coming to the US anytime soon. Now, to make this
Nope, not with our electric grid. We are in the Stone Age, motherfucker.
more realistic then, what if instead of charging at a 5.7 C like we do in the motorcycle, let's keep charging it at the lucid gravity level today, right? 3.2 C. But this graph shows you what that would look like if we could keep that charge. Like we mentioned before, the lucid had to build up temperature to be able to get to this max charging rate, and then it started dropping off right away. But our donut pack doesn't have to do that. So we can get all the way to about 70% before any tapering happens. Because remember, in the other simulation that I showed here, this drop and this drop is all still above 400 kilowatts of speed. So even though that this drop happens from 600 to 400, when you just charge at 400 like a traditional battery might, that extends all the way here to 70%. That means to go from 0 to 70% in a lucid gravity at a 400 kilowatt fast charger like a Tesla V4 charger. You could do that in 14 minutes instead of 20 and save 6 minutes, and all the way to 80%.
I don't know what that blip was. Weird.
So this pack, in terms of like road tripping, if you're a big road tripper or a public charging user, this would be a huge game changer and would save you tons of time on charging. Being at test 4 at this point and covering this as much as we have, one theory that we talked about in the very early, like first test, first unveil, was what if it's a hybrid battery with a supercapacitor and a chemical battery kind of stuck together? That could potentially, and I was thinking about this early on, explain these two plateaus. It looks like there's something happening here, and then it has to dip to like a state 2, right? And then it holds that. What if this first part was a supercapacitor where you're storing on the plate on a surface, which happens very quickly. And when that fills up, we then taper down.
That'd be an interesting combo.
Via a chemical.
I don't know why you would do that, but
based on what we know about how fast this battery can charge, I don't think that's it. I think this is just the BMS holding a charge level well below the battery's potential limit. So we're 4 tests in, and here's where we stand. Verified, 11C cell level, 5C pack level, with 100-degree survival, air cooling at temperatures that need liquid cooling traditionally, and a charge curve where the cooling system is the bottleneck rather than the chemistry. So you're limited only by how well you could cool these packs. Theoretically, we'd have to wait to see how temperature affects degradation over time.
Stands over battery pack, blows to charge faster.
Based on 50 degrees, 100 degrees, we have to find out all those pieces to put that entire thing together. Also, Donut mentioned that the BMS is still in early development. The BMS is what handles that curve and says, okay, the temperature and the charge rate.
Okay, so they may have some improvements to do. Okay, that makes sense.
That's the brains of a battery charging system.
Brains.
I think they're still developing it. So these curves and flat spots and stuff we're looking at, these just might be early BMS signatures that'll eventually smooth out over time.
All we wanna do is eat your brains.
Is pretty damn remarkable. These are numbers that are not common. It is not common to see a pack charging a 5.7 C with air cooling. And we're not used to seeing 103 kilowatts being delivered to an 18 kilowatt hour battery pack.
That is insane.
Cars faster today is with having a battery pack that's big. My Tesla Model S has a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, and the fastest speeds I've seen are about 220 kilowatts, so about a C rate of 2.2. The lucid gravity goes to 3.2, which is even better. Some of the BYDs and CATL base cars can go higher, but we're talking about a 5.7 C air-cooled battery on a motorcycle that is planned to be shipping this year. That is pretty damn wild. Now, one of the funnest things about doing these videos is getting a sense of where the audience, where all of you are. So this.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see where this is at. All right, next video we have is OpenClaw versus Google, a mass ban wave. Snooze that ad for a sec. All right, so let's see what's going on with this over here.
You pay $249 a month for Google's premium AI coding platform. One morning...
No, I do not. Because fuck that, I'm not paying $250 a month. I pay $70 a month right now on GitHub Copilot Plus Premium. Yeah. $40 for the plan, 20 or $30 on my overage premiums because of Claude Opus. This is why I want to build my own LLM locally. Which, by the way, I have some progress on the theory of doing all of that, so that way I can... I've theoretically figured out how I can possibly scale to 3 or even 4 DGX Sparks, but it will require me to get a 100 gigabit switch, but it will not be a 100 gigabit upgrade for my network as part of the 10 gigabit upgrade. I would be managing that with a 1 gigabit, but there would be an intranet between the 4, and then the 4 DGX Sparks would all be connected over 10 gigabit through their intranet. They would just be connected to each other over 100 gigabit instead of the 200 gigabit that they could have max, because 200 gigabit switches are like $10,000. I can justify an $800 100 gigabit switch, but I can't justify a $10,000 switch for double that bandwidth. But I'd also have to justify roughly over $10,000 in compute. One thing at a time. First I have to get one DGX Spark, and then another DGX Spark, and then another DGX Spark. After I get the second DGX Spark, then we're going to need a switch for the third DGX Spark. Being in tech is tough. Tell me about it. I have way too many expensive hobbies. I'm also in amateur radio. At what point would you switch to a fiber switch instead of copper? I think that switch that I would be getting, it would be a fiber. It would be a ConnectX 7 switch for those SFP. But the 10 gigabit would be copper. It'd probably all be DAC and Ethernet, RJ45, for my 10 gigabit. But the 100 gigabit would probably all be SFP modules with ConnectX 7s.
You're locked out. No email, no warning, no explanation, yet your credit card keeps getting charged. So you contact
Well,
Google
F that!
They tell you to file feedback through their in-app tool, but you're locked out of the app. So you try Google Cloud support, and they say, not our department.
Wait, what?
Google One support, they say, not our department.
Wait, what?
either. On the developer forum, a Google rep posts a brief acknowledgement, but then it gets deleted. And one user reported their forum account was restricted after they asked why. Google calls this zero tolerance, and the affected users aren't hackers or scammers. They're paying customers who connected a popular open source tool called OpenClaw to their accounts. And what makes this story worse is who built the tool and what happened after it went viral. A single developer, fresh off burnout, built a prototype in 1 hour, and it became the fastest growing open source project in GitHub history. Then came trademark threats from Anthropic, an OpenAI acquisition, and two of the biggest AI companies on earth moving against its users. The timing of everything raises a question nobody at Google wants to answer. If you want deep dives like this on real AI stories, not hype, not product reviews, the things happening right now affecting your career.
Is my car electric or gas powered? It's gas powered right now. I eventually want to get an electric car, but
locked out of their own accounts, you need to
I can't justify getting it yet due to cost.
He is an Austrian developer. He founded PS Kit, a PDF engine used by Apple, Dropbox, and IBM on over 1 billion devices. Insight Partners invested over 100 million euros in his company, and after 13 years, Steinberger burnt out and stepped away from tech. Then in late 2025, AI models got good enough, and he built a prototype in approximately 1 hour called Claudebot. It was a self-hosted AI agent running on your own machine. It connected to WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, iMessage, Signal, Slack. It was always on, running in the background 24/7. It had persistent memory stored as markdown files on your hard drive so that you owned the data, you owned the AI agent. On January 6, 2026, Steinberger announced Claudebot publicly. It got 25,000 GitHub stars in a single day, shattering every record. By mid-February, over 196,000.
Hear that Sora is shut down, so less AI videos will be made. Hey, Vampire, did you see the title of the Twitch stream when you joined? I'm gonna give you a second to go check it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Did you see it? Did you see the title yet? Okay, Abby. I know you are my friend, and we hung out IRL at DEF CON, so I can say this with love. Fuck you.
And Linux kernel. No software project had ever grown this fast. Then came Anthropic's cease and desist. Claude was too close to Claude, and after 2 renames in 4 days, the project eventually became OpenClaw. But here's the thing about OpenClaw.
Oh, that's why they renamed it. I thought it was Claudebot.
Any AI model, Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, it gave users a dead simple way to route their existing paid subscriptions through it using standard OAuth. So you'd plug in your $249 a month Google subscription, and OpenClaw would send everything through Google's backend. All the compute you wanted for a flat monthly fee. The design made it irresistible, and it put thousands of paying customers directly in the crosshairs of the companies they were paying. You need to understand why people took the risk, because
So this is exactly why I'm trying to build my own LLM servers and everything to replace a lot of my dependency on OpenAI and stuff like that. And so far, I've got Zero Trust working, so at least I have Open Web UI working over TwinGate, so I can use it instead of ChatGPT from my phone whenever I'm out of the house, and I can use it on all my machines. And once I get some DGX Sparks, I'll have VLLM to scale that. And we're probably looking at using the larger Quen models that'll be like 400B, maybe the 450s and 500B models or somewhere around those numbers. So I'm going to need like 2, probably 3 DGX Sparks. But yeah. There is a Sora GitHub, so not all AI videos will just stop, just dumb videos will. Well, when I get my DGX Sparks, I'm gonna make my own dumb videos.
Call wasn't a gimmick. It was the closest thing to an AI employee anyone had ever built. So picture this, you're at dinner with your family, your phone buzzes, it's OpenClaw on WhatsApp telling you your client's staging servers returning errors. Normally your night's ruined, you have to go fix it, but with OpenClaw you can just text back, check the logs, and restart it if it's a memory issue. You take another bite, 30 seconds later, Claudebot responds, oh, found it, out of memory kill on the worker process, restarted, all good, enjoy your dinner. This isn't a demo. This is what people were doing with OpenClaw in January 2026.
I'd be totally fine doing that if I ran my own LLM server.
And had persistent memory. It worked across all the messaging platforms you actually use: WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, iMessage, Signal, Slack, and Google Chat. And all of your data stayed on your machine as markdown files, not in someone else.
I need to figure out how to get it to signal me. That's an issue for another day.
This is cloud. It was on your hard drive, and it was open source, MIT license. The code was yours. But the real appeal wasn't the features, it was the economics. And to understand the economics, you need to understand how Google actually
I'm talking about brain rot like Fruit Love Island, which was a fruit dating show on TikTok. Oh,
the Gemini API. This is the official route for developers and automation. You pay per token, every request costs money.
Right.
The more your agent runs, the more you pay. Very straightforward. Google designed this path for exactly the kind of high-volume programmatic workload that tools like OpenClaw generate. Path 2 is anti-gravity. This is Google's consumer IDE, $249 a month for Ultra, flat rate, unlimited access to Gemini 3 Pro through Google's official IDE. But Google priced this tier assuming you'd use it the way a human uses an IDE. So you open...
Oh, I see where this is going.
Human pace. So path 1 was intended for automation and path 2 was intended for human interactive.
People probably figured out that path 2 was actually cheaper and were doing that, but it was in violation when they realized that it was being done. Okay.
IDE use. Here's what OpenClaw users figured out. When you log into anti-gravity, Google authenticates you through standard OAuth. Sign in with Google. We're all familiar with that. The token says who you are and what plan you're on, and it grants access
I knew it!
to the Gemini backend based on your subscription tier. Users discovered they could extract that OAuth token from anti-gravity and plug it into OpenClaw's config. No hacking, no spoofing, just a valid token hitting the same Gemini endpoints. So what actually happened is the human would start the OpenClaw agent loop, authenticate with an anti-gravity OAuth token, hit the Gemini backend, and basically get a flat rate quota, but with automated volume. So same, same token, same flat rate subscription,
and
instead of a human typing.
technically speaking, this is a violation of their terms of service, I'm betting.
File analysis, task chaining, hundreds of requests around the clock while users slept. They found an arbitrage. You pay $249 a month for interactive human access, but you route it through an autonomous agent, so you get API-grade automation at consumer subscription prices. If you're non-technical, think of it like buying a $250 all-you-can-eat ice cream pass, then sending a robot to scoop hundreds of bowls around the clock while you sleep. Same ticket, same price, but very different usage. The math was obvious to everyone except Google, but here's what nobody was thinking about. Every one of those requests went through Google's backend infrastructure. Google's servers, Google's compute, and Google tracked every single request. The traffic from OpenClaw looked nothing like traffic from Anti-Gravity's official IDE. Different client signatures, non-human patterns, automated requests hitting at 2, 3, 4 a.m. while users slept, orders of magnitude more requests than any human could generate by typing. To Google's automated detection systems, different meant suspicious. The magic of OpenClaw depended entirely on Google not caring how you use the subscription you were paying for, and Google was about to...
It's shit like this, which is why, even though I was using the free Google Gemini, when I was, before I got my Olama server running to do, so when I do my live stream announcements and when my YouTube posts are going out, it's run through an LLM, but it's run through my local Olama server. Well, before I had that figured out, I had it using Gemini. I made another Google account. I have several. And I had it using that because I was like, in case something goes wrong, I'd rather burn one of my burner accounts than burn my actual Google account. Nothing happened. I've never run afoul of it. I did hit some quota limitations, and I did have to swap accounts here and there because I did rate limit a few things when I was in testing. But yeah, this is another reason why that's actually a good practice to do things. Yeah. But this is also a good reason why people need to start looking at localizing their own LLM processing. Don't get me wrong, Claude Opus is a great model. I love it. I use it for a lot of stuff. But in terms of cost, I would rather get rid of ChatGPT. So my plan is get rid of ChatGPT entirely, pull all of my data out, RAG it. Retrieval augmented generated. Basically, use my 5060 Ti or 3050 in there to do a one-time pass with an embedded LLM to index all the data that I have. Train my LLM basically to know what I sound like and things like that. And then have my own local LLM to be able to run whenever I need to edit my scripts and improve the flow of things, to know how I sound and how I prefer to prefer to word things and articulate things and all of that. And then kill off ChatGPT entirely. And then just keep my GitHub Copilot Pro Plus for Claude Opus, and then do coding through VLLM to replace Ollama, because VLLM is more scalable, and then keep Open Web UI as my front end, so that way I can then have my own coding and verbal as well as multimodal LLM to do a lot of my own processing, and I'll document all of this, of course, for all of you. It'll basically be rolled into Franken LLM version 2 when I get around to that. So Franken LLM already is working great, but Franken LLM version 2 is going to have VLLM built in and be designed for working on NVIDIA DGX Sparks, but also let you build for multi-GPU. I may make an entirely different repo for the new Franken LLM, but I may also rename it entirely different. We'll see once I get there. Is a DOCSIS connection good these days? It's all right. I'm on DOCSIS 3.1. A lot of cable providers are moving to symmetrical bandwidth. So, I mean, True Fiber is better, but I mean, like, Spectrum's moving to what they call high split. So my gigabit connection should have gigabit symmetrical connection maybe by the end of the year, early next year, so I can stop doing all this BS traffic shaping for my multi streaming for Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and TikTok all at once, and making sure everything is all kosher. But yeah, it's fine. True Fiber is still better, but yeah.
Care a lot. If you've ever connected your AI subscription to a third-party tool, whether a VS Code extension, a command line wrapper, anything asking for your API token, hit the like button and drop a comment. Did you actually read the terms of service before plugging in your credentials? Be honest. On February 15th, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman announced Peter Steinberger was joining OpenAI. Altman called him a genius with amazing ideas about the future of smart agents doing useful things for people. OpenClaw would move to an independent open source foundation, with OpenAI sponsoring the project. So OpenClaw now belonged to OpenAI's orbit, and then with two of OpenAI's biggest competitors moved against OpenClaw's users. On February 20, Anthropic published an updated legal compliance page, and the new page explicitly prohibited using OAuth tokens from Claude Free, Pro, or Max accounts in any third-party tool, including OpenClaw. Now, the rule had technically existed in their terms of service since February 2024.
Yeah, I can't get a fiber connection either. I feel your pain.
One Anthropic engineer explained the reasoning publicly. Third-party tools create unusual traffic patterns, making it impossible for support to debug issues. And to Anthropic's credit, they communicated this, they explained it, they maintained a direct line with Steinberger throughout. They were nice about it, Steinberger even said. But here's the nuance that matters.
The honest truth is, I've also heard that Anthropic has been saying that OpenClaw has been hammering their system so hard, which is why they've been having outages quite a bit lately. That's at least the anecdotal thing I've been hearing. But yeah. So sick of Sam Altman already. Look, Kara, you've heard what I've said. Every time I look at RAM prices, I curse Sam Altman and the fact that his mother didn't swallow.
Anthropic's post-backlash clarification drew a line between commercial reselling, your pro or max.
There's fiber, but only homeowners. I'm a homeowner, and there's no fiber within a few blocks of me. It's the stupidest thing. You can get fiber a few blocks away, but you can't get it in my neighborhood.
Wave. Forum and Reddit users report Claude Pro and Max OAuth still links and runs in OpenClaw for light personal use, even if high-volume agent loops may hit soft blocks. So there were no widespread account suspensions. Now compare Anthropic's approach to Google. So zero nuance, support emails are uniform blankets. Any use of anti-gravity OAuth tokens in OpenClaw equals powering a non-anti-gravity.
Oh, damn.
That means permanent ban. No distinction between someone running agent loops 24/7 versus someone who connected OpenClaw once just to experiment. The ban wave caught them all. Thousands and thousands of accounts banned. And then there's OpenAI, the company that acqui-hired Steinberger, the company sponsoring OpenClaw. OpenAI is currently the only major provider explicitly allowing third-party tools to use subscription credentials. Full stop. So you have three companies, three completely different responses. OpenAI, come on in. Anthropic says, let's talk about it. Here are some boundaries, personal use, and experimentation.
Fair enough.
Google says, you're banned, zero tolerance, no appeal, but keep paying us. The developer community noticed the asymmetry immediately. So users with multi-provider setups saw Claude and OpenAI working fine, while Google killed their accounts without warning. And here's the timeline that makes it worse. Google had been silently banning users since February 12th.
Damn.
Before Anthropic's public announcement.
Oh.
Before Steinberger's OpenAI hire was even
Oh.
terms of service update, no email. Google started banning people and told.
Any opinions on Skyline Chili? You better be close to a toilet. I don't understand the appeal of Skyline Chili. I don't understand why everyone's like they like Skyline Chili. I was taken to Skyline Chili once, and you know what my opinion is? I've tried it. I have no intention to go back whatsoever. It's a thing. I have no incentive to go back whatsoever. Others in Telus, a telecom monopoly with two others, was able to enter my tradition first town was because they had to offer fiber to every home for free. Oh, nice. Skyline Chili is what I make when the budget is so tight I need to stretch leftovers for a week. Skyline Chili is also what it looks like after I eat Taco Bell.
Now, correlation isn't causation. Google says this was about infrastructure, not competition, but the timing is hard to ignore. Here's what it looked like from the inside. On February 12, 2026, a developer posted on Google's AI developer forum. He's paying $249 a month for the Ultra plan. He got locked out. Generic 403 error. The service has been disabled in this account for violation of terms of service, but no email beforehand, no warning, no grace period, no temporary cooldown. On February 13th, a Google community rep responds. Their suggestion is to file feedback through their in-app tool. So the user fires back, I'm logged out of my account and I can't even get into the app. Over the next 48 hours, so many more reports pour in. Developers are paying $200 to $250 a month and they're all locked out, all getting the same generic error to go try Google Cloud support because this isn't our department. They try Google One support, they say not our department either. So the support system loops back on itself with no exit. Talk about an opportunity to apply AI. Okay, on February 14th, the second major thread, another $250 a month Ultra subscriber said, I was banned without warning. Still being billed, no refund process, then silence.
Jesus.
Users report waiting 3
Calm down with the Taco Bell jokes. I'm in the middle of eating guacamole and salsa. Is it from Taco Bell? Because if it is, you're gonna have Skyline Chili in the bathroom tonight.
to 8 days, and the responses they get back have zero substance. One user described email support as a gaping black hole. On February 20th, supposedly a Google representative posted a brief acknowledgement of the 403 issues and promised that the bans would be prioritized for review, but then that post was removed shortly after.
No, it's from Winyo.
their account was restricted. Now, that specific scenario is unverified. It's a personal anecdote, but it captures the frustration developers were experiencing. They didn't just feel ignored, they felt active.
You have a good recipe for guac, but it's white people guac. So it's not a good recipe.
Response arrives. They say our investigation specifically confirmed the use of your credentials within the third-party tool OpenClaw for testing purposes constitutes a violation of the Google Terms of Service. This is due to the use of anti-gravity servers to power a non-anti-gravity product. We are unable to reverse the suspension. Zero tolerance, irreversible, no appeal. Then on February 23, the head of Google Anti-Gravity posted publicly on Twitter. He says, we've been seeing a massive increase in malicious usage of the anti-gravity backend. We needed to find a path to quickly shut off access to these users not using the product as intended.
So why did you silently block them? This is just so underhanded.
We understand a subset of these users were not aware this was against terms of service, and we will get a path for them to come back on, but we have limited capacity and want to be fair to our actual users. And in follow-up posts, he clarified that only anti-gravity access was blocked, that other Google services were unaffected. Basically, OpenClaw users overwhelmed Google's compute, and Google needed to act fast. Supposedly, Google regrets not giving more warning. They took action on accounts where vast
bullshit
usage over 90% was not the anti-gravity product. That 90% number is really important. It means Google could specifically identify which accounts were routing most of their usage through OpenClaw. They had the data. They had the granularity. Of course they do. They're Google. They know everything we do. They could have throttled people. They could have warned people, but they chose a blanket ban without explanation. And here's what really set developers off. The word malicious. I mean, these are people paying $249 a month.
Yeah, you're paying $250 a month. Here I am saying I'm paying a lot for LLM, and if we don't count the hardware that I've been spending on GPUs, I mean, this is for my honeypot over here, another 5060 Ti. We're looking at, I pay anywhere from $60 to $90 a month between GitHub Copilot Pro Plus and ChatGPT Pro. 250.
Connected a highly popular open source tool through an OAuth flow that Google's own system provided and approved at the time. Nobody hacked anything, technically. Nobody spoofed credentials. Google built the authentication methods, and Google served the OAuth token. And then Google called the people who used it malicious. One developer put it perfectly. They were your actual users. They were literally paying you the highest possible price. And it wasn't just power users who got caught. One developer reported he barely used his anti-gravity with OpenClaw, hit his Gemini Pro quota maybe 3 or 4 times across many months. Very light usage, experimental, but he was still banned. So Google's mass ban did not distinguish between someone running autonomous agent loops around the clock.
Oh, jeez.
OpenClaw a few times to try it out. Why wouldn't Google just do what Anthropic did? Return an error and explain that this is not allowed. There's no need to suspend accounts and create all of this drama. The support team's official response to affected users 3 weeks earlier was zero tolerance, unable to reverse. Meanwhile, the head of anti-gravity is coming out saying some of these will be reversed. Peter Steinberger's response landed the same day. Pretty draconian from Google. Be careful out there. If you use anti-gravity, I guess I'll remove support. Even Anthropic pings me and is nice about issues. Google just ... bans.
Jeez.
This feels like, by the way, when I started making long-form AI tutorials, YouTube suspended my channel with no warning. I had to keep pinging humans on Twitter until someone manually reviewed my YouTube channel. The experience taught me early on, don't assume a platform will treat you fairly because you're paying. These systems run on automation. You're guilty until a human bothers to look. Right now, anti-gravity users are living the same nightmare, except their platform is telling them there is no...
That's effed.
On February 23rd, another developer...
On that note, that's probably one of the reasons why I may have to actually return to Twitter at some point. Look, I've already returned to Instagram. The only reason I haven't really returned to Twitter as easily is, well, Opus Clips ties into Instagram, and Fedica, which I use to cross-post across all the other stuff, ties into Instagram. In order for me to cross-post to Twitter, I'd have to pay a monthly fee to my cross-posting tool for Twitter to cross-post. I could use the free API to technically cover my cross-posting of when I go live from, you know, Stream Demon and all that, but I don't know if I really want to do that. I used to be on Twitter. I don't know if I want to return to Twitter. I'm doing much better on Blue Sky and Mastodon. Threads is as horrible as Twitter, I will be honest.
Posted on the Google forum, permanently banning a paid account because we use the CLI agent to consume our quota efficiently instead of manually clicking around a web UI is wild to me. And this is the core question. If you're paying $249 a month and you hit a usage limit, shouldn't the system just return a warning email, not a permanent ban with no refund and no path back? In many cases, that is still billing you every single month. Google didn't throttle, Google didn't warn, even though they had all the data. Google banned and then went quiet. Now let's look at why Google says they did it. Google's terms of service don't mention OpenClaw explicitly, but they include clauses covering no reselling, no abuse, and intended usage. Google interprets
Twitter, your mental will slip into depression.
Anti-gravity access.
So here's the thing, I don't really use Instagram. I don't really use Threads. I just post there through my cross-posting tools to expand my audience, if anything. I don't really use those platforms. You get what I'm saying? I use Blue Sky. I use Mastodon. I do not use all those other ones. I'll use Lemmy from time to time. I'll use Reddit from time to time.
Is for interactive human use.
PixelFed I use from time to time.
Routing that same access through a third-party agent like OpenClaw turns consumer infrastructure into an API backend. And from Google's perspective, that's not a gray area. That is arbitrage.
When I visit Facebook, Facebook X, Twitter, Instagram, and it asks me to log in to view, scroll, leave, not own, not worth whatever it is. I don't have a Facebook anymore.
Agent loops generating orders of magnitude more requests than a human typing in the anti-gravity IDE. Thousands of automated calls flooding shared consumer infrastructure. The flat rate model doesn't survive that kind of volume. Google skipped every intermediate step. Again, no warning, no rate limit error, no email, straight to zero tolerance, unable to reverse. In my opinion, an automatic blanket ban should never be the first response to your top tier paying customers. What Google should have done is implement a cooldown system. First offense, temporary 48-hour suspension with a clear warning explaining what you did wrong and how to fix it. Give users the opportunity to course correct. Disconnect OpenClaw, switch to an API key, adjust their workflow. Then, if they reconnect and do it again, escalate, make it a longer ban. That's how you enforce a policy without destroying trust. And this reveals something bigger. Google didn't plan for rate limiting or throttling of high usage customers, but this is always the problem with flat rate pricing. Every industry learns this the hard way. 2% of your customers burn 80+% of your capacity. It happened with DSL broadband, it happened with mobile data, and now it's happening with AI subscriptions. Of course, Google has a crap ton of money and can absorb it, but they, for some reason, don't want to. If you want to provide a good service for all customers, you don't just write fair usage in your terms of service, you have to actually implement it. Build the technical guardrails that throttle heavy users before they degrade the service for everyone else, especially when you have all of the data to identify these users. But here's the part that really gets me. I personally feel Google's missing a massive long-term opportunity. There's obviously real demand here. OpenClaw is the most incredible product market fit, and these users want to pay for that automation. So why permanently deactivate the customers showing the highest usage? That's your best signal for who will pay more. So just inform.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be switching off of Pop! OS just because of the age verification. It's not their fault they have to go through this. They live in a state that unfortunately is pushing for it.
And give yourself
They're fighting against it, but
really easy solution that would work.
They're a hardware integrator. They
Chose the
don't have the luxury like other providers do.
and go quiet. And if this sounds familiar, it should. In June 2023, remember that? Reddit changed its API pricing overnight. Apollo was the most popular third-party Reddit client at the time, and they faced $20 million a year in new costs. It just shut down. In the same year, Elon Musk introduced paid API tiers for Twitter, which killed third-party Twitter clients overnight. And I know, because I pay $5,000 a month for the Twitter API. So this pattern repeats. Platforms build ecosystems, developers build on them, but then platforms
Yeah, like Twitter's API thing was actually the whole reason why I actually So the funny thing is, let me back up here. Twitter's API changes happened when I was starting to teach myself about Python and how to actually work with APIs. Back when it was Twitch and Toot, now the project is called Stream Demon that I have, which alerts when I'm live on Twitch and Kick and YouTube, and then posts to Blue Sky and Mastodon. It was called Twitch and Toot because originally it was designed to go post to when I'm live on Twitter and Mastodon. Originally I had learned with Twitter's API, but they were being horrible, and then they yanked the whole idea away, and then they gave me access again. It was like this whole, you have access, no you don't, you have access, no you don't, you have access, no you don't, during when Elon acquired it. Well, that's initially why I learned to do Mastodon's API, because I was looking for a project to teach me to use APIs. And eventually, Twitter just did what they did, and then I just said, screw it, I'm focusing on Mastodon development for it. Now I've completely overhauled the project, and now it has Blue Sky's support, and it works with Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. And I've ripped out Twitter, because the Twitter support that I had is incompatible with the API that they have today, and I haven't felt like going around and requesting API access and developing for it again. Because their new API is like so restrictive. Now, the new API, like if I remember, hold on, let me see. Here's API price. So the pricing of their API. They always change this stupid thing. I hate how they do this. Where the hell is it? They always change this stupid site. I just want to see where your pricing is. Okay. So, yeah, they charge like an insane amount for this. Like, look at this. Oh, so now they're doing this whole credit consumption. Pay per use versus... Okay, so now they've made it even worse. Now they're moving from subscription to this pay-per-use model. That's even worse! Like, I just want to, like, for shits and giggles. Okay. We are creating... Holy shit. You want $50 a month for 5,000 creation of posts? You're gonna charge me a penny per post. Your API. Okay, let me just do the math here, alright? So I stream 3-4 times a week. There's a hello post, a goodbye post. We're on 3 platforms. So 4 times 3 times 4. So that's 48 posts right there per week. If I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Math's off there. So we're talking... Alright, so 4 posts. Hold on. 3 platforms. Okay. Per day, per week, per month. So 72 posts, that's just from Twitch. All right? Now, with my posts that I have from YouTube. All right, so YouTube, let's assume I'd still have to give $1 per month. That's not including all the testing and all that I'd have to do. Oh, look at this. You're really nickel and diming. Look at this. You're really nickel and diming all this shit. Good God. Elon really fucked up Twitter.
Change the rules and developers lose. On Hacker News, the response was split. Many developers, however, side with Google. Users extracted OAuth tokens for unauthorized usage, so that should be against terms of service. But many people sympathize with banned users, right? Permanent bans without warning for people who are already paying $250 a month is insane. And the same debate surfaces every time a platform pulls the rug. And every single time, it's the developers who lose. So what happened next? Steinberger removed anti-gravity support from OpenClaw entirely. He closed the GitHub issue as won't fix. And the team's public statement, some providers have terms of service which might be violated when using your agents. In other words, we're not going to help you get banned. Affected users have already started migrating. Cloud Code, Cursor, GitHub Pilot, open source alternatives, developer forums, and Reddit are filled with goodbye posts. OpenClaw moved to an independent open source foundation under OpenAI's sponsorship, and now Steinberger leads personal agents at OpenAI. So the project lives on, but as of February 23rd, 2026, there have been very few confirmed reinstatements for banned anti-gravity users. No
Jeez.
Many forum threads with thousands of views, 0 official responses on the forums. We just have a vague promise on Twitter of a path to come back on, but no concrete details or timeline. If you take 3 things away from this situation, make it these. Number 1, your subscription token is not your API key, and companies can track the difference. Anthropic and Google are happy to sell you API access for tools like OpenClaw. You pay as you go, per token, no limits on what you connect. Some API using OpenClaw users have run up crazy bills, and the providers love that. That is...
Yeah, I know people that have actually run up like $5,000 a month bills. I'm not doing that. If I would rather... $5,000 is more than the cost of one NVIDIA DGX Spark. Do that 4 months, that's 4 DGX Sparks. That would pay for my entire super high-end AI lab build that I'm trying to do with VLLM.
Real revenue, it's fair. The problem is the other path. When you route a flat rate consumer subscription through a third-party tool via OAuth, you're essentially using an all-you-can-eat pass to feed a robot that eats 24 hours a day. So the consumer subscription is licensed for the official app, okay? The API is licensed for everything else. When you mix them up, you could be in violation. As we covered, each company handles this a little differently. OpenAI versus Anthropic versus Google, but don't assume that a flat rate subscription is safe for third-party tools unless the provider explicitly says so. Number 2, generally don't build your workflow on a single platform's consumer subscription. Google banned paying customers with no warning, no appeal, and no refund. It took 3 weeks for anyone to get a 1-sentence explanation. So if your entire development workflow depends on one AI subscription, then you are one automated flag away from everything stopping. Keep your agent configurations portable, have a backup provider configured, assume any platform subscription is revocable at any time for any reason with 0 notice. Number 3, we should probably read the terms of service before connecting any tool to our AI accounts. OpenClaw's onboarding made it super seamless to plug in anti-gravity credentials. One OAuth flow and bam, everything's set up. And honestly, nobody read the terms of service saying they'd get banned for doing this.
Nobody reads the terms of services.
Party tool access to your paid subscription. It's probably a good idea to spend 5 minutes checking if the provider allows it. In this situation, people lost their...
You know what you should do? You should run the terms of service through their AI.
Subscription just by clicking connect without reading the terms of service. But here's the question I keep coming back to. Google keeps saying they need to protect their infrastructure. Fair enough, but banning paying customers with no warning, no explanation for 3 weeks, no refund, and a zero tolerance policy, that's exactly the kind of move that makes developers stop trusting you entirely. Tell me what you think in the
People
comments.
still trusted Google?
If this story made you rethink your allegiance to Google or how you connect your AI tools, hit the like button and subscribe if you want.
Cool. All right, next video. Amazon is regretting AI from Mo Bitar. So what's this one?
There's this engineer at AWS. It's December. He's got a bug ticket for Cost Explorer. That's the little dashboard that tells you how much money you're bleeding into the cloud each month.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that one.
So he fires up Kiro, which is Amazon's in-house AI coding bot.
Yep, I've used Kiro. I've actually liked Kiro. I've talked about it. That's what they used to call Amazon Q. We had it at my last job. It's like their equivalent to GitHub Copilot. You just install it as an extension, but you can also use their own entire VS Code fork. It worked pretty well. I liked it. Honestly, it's a pretty great platform.
The one Amazon's been shoving down everyone's throat. 80% weekly usage mandate, tracked as a core.
Wait, what?
Probably counts towards your promotion. Probably Jeff Bezos is personally reviewing your metrics from his yacht. I don't know. Point is, you use Kiro or you explain to HR why you hate innovation. The guy gives Kiro this little bug, and Kiro looks at it, evaluates the situation, and decides that the correct move is to delete the entire production environment.
What?
Build it from scratch. It took 13 hours to recover, and Amazon puts out a statement calling it an extremely limited event caused by user error.
Hold up. Let's back up here. I've used Kiro. Are you telling me that a developer gave it agentic access to do an RM-RF without any approval? Like, 'cause seriously, like I said, I've used Amazon Kiro. It's like VS Code. You have to go and approve it by default to do actions. So that means that developer effed up royally and either just clicked approve without checking that it was doing the thing, or just allows it to do whatever without reading over what it's going to do. And either one of those outcomes is unacceptable. Look, I was using VS Code right now to go check my logs and everything. All right? Yeah. I have a separate account for it to log in. So, yeah. I still had to approve this stuff.
Bro, you mandated this tool. You set targets and adoption metrics. You basically said if you're not using Kiro, you're a Luddite who hates progress, and also we're watching you. The engineer did exactly what you told him to do, and your AI went full Marie Kondo on production. It said this environment does not spark joy and deleted the whole thing. And you blame the engineer? Here's what kills me.
The honest truth is, I hate to say this. You may hate me for this. I do blame the engineer. I do blame the engineer. Because I've used AI enough to know you would have to approve it to do that. Or you have broken so many guardrails, that you just allow it to do that. Either outcome is not acceptable. You can disagree with me, chat. Let me know if you have different opinions here. But I'm gonna say, in this discussion, I'm gonna have to say this was the fault of the engineer. Is mandating AI usage bad? Yes. Was this the fault of the developer? Also, yes. Both things can be true at the same time. One way or another, the dev did something. Exactly, Nero. Exactly.
Amazon's defense was, and I kid you not, it was a coincidence that AI tools were involved. The AI deleted production, and Amazon called it a coincidence.
No. The fact that the developer was using an AI tool, it is a coincidence. Because the developer is ultimately responsible for what the tool is doing. You can't blame the AI because it is an inanimate object. It's like I hit you over the head with this water bottle. Who do you blame? Me or the water bottle? Ultimately, even if I were to attach a robot to this, and that robot were programmed to go swing at you, I would be responsible for ultimately hitting you. Because ultimately, I am responsible for that. It's the same thing as the guy who deleted all of his wife's photos because he had OpenClaw try to reorganize his wife's photos. You can't blame OpenClaw for that. You let OpenClaw go and do that. If there's an option to see what the AI is going to do before you allow it and a person allows it, it's on the person, not an AI. Exactly. Thank you for the super chat as well there. Excellent, chef. But that's my point. And the people that are going and saying, well, you know, it's the AI's fault, haven't been using these tools. And look, I'm not one of those people that's going to go around and say, AI is freaking wonderful, put it everywhere. I'm telling you, AI is a valuable tool. It has its place, know its limitations. But I will also tell you when the developer is the problem.
Okay.
Definitely the fault of the developer. He just clicked OK without reading anything. Yep, Renee. I agree.
If that was the end of it, fine. It's an isolated incident, weird AI thing, robots, am I right? We move on, but it was not the end of it. March 2nd, 3 months later, Amazon's other AI tool, Q, they call it, they're working their way from A to Z. Q pushes bad code into the retail site.
Q and Kira are actually the same thing. They're actually the same thing, so they've been rebranding Q into Kiro. And I know this because every time I logged in to Amazon Q, Q is just the extension that we had in VS Code. But every time I logged in, it would say you have access to Kiro. Kiro is the IDE. It's basically 6 half a dozen the other. And all they are is, if you've used GitHub Copilot, it's the same shit. It is their way of letting you use different models. You can hook in ChatGPT, you can hook in Claude, Sonnet, Haiku, Opus, all those different things, just like you can with GitHub Copilot. Okay? It's just Amazon's way of doing it. So if you are an AWS shop, you're going to probably want to lean more towards Kiro. But if you are a GitHub shop, you're probably going to want to lean more towards GitHub because of the tighter integration with there. And Kiro's advantage is it is fully AWS aware, so you can actually ask it like, hey, if I want to do all of this on AWS and do anything in here, or the legal team happens to be running these Kubernetes, could you tell me about them if you have access to it?
120,000 orders just vanish. 1.6 million website errors. People are trying to buy like toilet paper, and Amazon is showing them delivery dates from like an alternate dimension. Your package will arrive between Thursday and the heat death of the universe. And then 3 days later, March 5th, another outage. This one kills 99% of orders across all of North America. 99%. 6.3 million orders gone in a single day. Amazon.com basically briefly ceased to exist as a commercial enterprise for 6 hours. Sorry, they call a mandatory meeting. The SVP sends out an email, and this is a real quote. He says, folks, as you likely know, the availability of the site and related infrastructure has not been good recently. Dude, 6 million orders lost. And this man is writing like he's leaving a 3-star Yelp review. The availability was suboptimal. The ambiance was off. Would not recommend this site to a friend at this time. Dude,
I'm waiting for some packages. I'm waiting for some cables so that I can move the UPS over so I have enough ports. Because what I'm planning to do is I'm trying to get some of those 1 to 3 and 1 to 4 ports, so that way I can just have one port and know that that one port is to the monitors and the desktop. And I was going to do some recabling, possibly. I'm waiting for those. Yeah.
website lost more money in an afternoon than most companies make in a decade. So their fix, their big solution is that
Thanks for the super chat. I ended up recovering data from my backups due to a mistake I made. I'm so glad that I have backups. Yeah, I've had to do that too. Backups are a lifesaver, which, by the way, if you haven't already, Blinkdisk is my favorite solution for backups. They have an open source solution. Yes, I am affiliated with them, but it's a fully open source solution. You don't have to use their infrastructure. But if you do want to use their infrastructure, I do have an affiliate code. But I use their open source software to back up to my NAS and back up to an S3 bucket that I've used for years with Wasabi for my things. I like it a lot better, and it works on Mac, Windows, and Linux. So I have the same platform everywhere. It's great. But yeah, I use that, and it's come in handy to go restore the files whenever I need. It's file level backups. It's not an image backup.
junior and mid-level engineers.
Thanks again for the super chats.
Without a senior engineer signing off, which, okay, fine. But let's think about what that means for a second. Amazon laid off 16,000 people in January. They've been cutting engineers for months. James Gosling, the guy who invented Java, who worked at AWS, is posting on LinkedIn that the layoffs and hype-driven technology choices are inevitably leading to system instability. So they fire the humans, they replace them with the AI breaks everything, and the fix is to add humans back. But they already fired the humans. So now you need the remaining humans to babysit the AI that replaced the fired humans. It's a perpetual motion machine of incompetence. It's beautiful, honestly. The worst part of all this is that there's no such thing as artificial intelligence. It doesn't exist. What we have is a math function. A very, very large, very expensive, very impressive math function that predicts the next most likely token based on statistical patterns.
I like to call it glorified autocomplete.
In its training data. That's it. That's all it does. It does not understand your code. It does not understand your infrastructure. It doesn't understand the concept of production versus staging. It doesn't understand the concept of deleting this will be bad. It has no concept of bad. It has no concepts at all. You know what?
Right. Because you as the developer are supposed to know that, and it's just a tool. Look, when I have a hammer... Okay, no, let's get this better. I have a pneumatic nail gun, okay? It's an automatic nail gun, all right? If I aim the nail gun right at you, is it my fault or the nail gun's fault that the nail didn't go into the 2x4 that it's supposed to go and instead went into your head? You were the operator of the tool. It just knows to drive a nail. Do you understand what I'm saying there? It's a tool. You ultimately are responsible for your tools in your toolbox and the operation of your tools. Them getting rid of developers, yes, that's a problem. Do they need more people? Yes, they do. And that's not an Amazon problem. That's every business is going through the same thing right now.
Kiro thought when it decided to delete that environment? Nothing. It thought nothing. There was no thought. There was a probability distribution over possible next actions, and delete and recreate had the highest weight. That's it. There was no reasoning. There was no judgment. There was math, and the math said, nuke it to hell. And it did because the math doesn't know what a customer is. And we gave it the keys. We gave the next word predictor human level permissions to production infrastructure serving millions, if not billions of customers. Oh, but the AI will
But it's so much easier to blame the tech that can't fight back.
Missing the point. The point is not that the AI made a mistake. Humans make mistakes. The point is that there is an ocean of...
The AI is an inanimate object. I can't really necessarily blame the AI for the failure of the tech to not monitor what it did and approved of.
that.
You can get mad at the AI. I've gotten mad at the AI for making changes in my code. But the fact that it made the changes to the code... Like, I want you to think about this, all right? Even if you allow it to agentically go and make modifications to the code, you still, in a version-controlled environment, which is pretty much everything, have to git add, git commit, git push, do a pull request, get that merged into it. There are so many steps. And I fail to believe that a company like Amazon just lets you push directly into main for something that important. And if they do, they got bigger problems than that. There are so many steps where the developer should have gone and said, you know what?
Vast, dark, bottomless ocean between human intent and what an LLM actually does with that intent. When you tell a human engineer, fix this bug, there's a shared understanding. There's context and judgment. There's a little voice in the back of their head going, I probably shouldn't delete production. LLMs don't...
I don't know, have you dealt with a lot of these developers? I've dealt with some dumb fucking developers. I've dealt with some developers that I swear to God are waste of oxygen and carbon. I am sure you've experienced those type of people in every kind of field. Are there some great people? Yes. But I have dealt with some dumb motherfuckers. You have heard some of the stories that I've said about, like, developers wanting to, like, bypass basic security protocols that made everyone on the team call, from the security people all the way up to the other developers and architects in the coding side, go, what the hell? Are you an idiot?
Have that voice. They don't have a back of their head. They have weights and biases and a loss function and absolutely zero understanding of what any of that means. And every time the industry calls,
I get tagged as the idiot dev until shit breaks, then my IT skills save the day.
Our AI understands every time a press release says the model is reasoning. It's propaganda. It's setting expectations that the technology fundamentally cannot meet. And meanwhile, Amazon is projecting $200 billion in AI spending this year, which is up from $131 billion last year. They're laying off humans and spending their salaries 10 times over on the thing that keeps breaking the website. Goldman Sachs just said all this AI investment contributed basically zero to GDP. The funniest part, the absolute cherry on top, Amazon's solution going forward includes, and I'm reading this directly from the internal memo here, both deterministic and agentic safeguards. They're gonna put a next word predictor.
But their HR and all the filters fail how a person is so competent, got the job, one wonders.
Like, what did you think was gonna happen?
They got the job because... Wait for it. Wait for it. The AI running the application tracking system flagged that they checked all the boxes, and the human who oversaw that system is a fucking moron. Mystery solved! Seriously. You show me a company that has incompetent workers, and I would say 80% of the time, it's due to the fact they have an automated system that they're using to try to find candidates. Because the best companies that I've seen hire candidates using the human touch. I got hired by a company that you actually went through and pulled resumes, whereas, like, I got rejected 99% of the time. I got 4 callbacks out of hundreds of applications. 2 interview processes that went through more than just a single, initial call that I actually liked the jobs for. Both of which had actual humans look at it.
Gave admin access to autocomplete, the thing that turns on my way into on my waffle. You gave that root access to a $1 trillion retail operation, and when it deleted everything, you were surprised. Surprised at what? That's autocomplete completing. It completed your production environment into the trash. It's working exactly as designed. Amazon lost 6.3 million orders, fired 16,000 engineers.
Okay, we got the point. Alright, what the hell did you send me, Vampire? What is this? Is this one of those stupid cartoons again?
Oh, nice.
That's me my pot of gold.
Oh, darn.
But I'll let you have it in exchange for your soul.
What the hell is this?
Leprechaun wall with a soul. Well, that doesn't work for me.
Tough luck, gobshite.
But he's a ginger. He doesn't have a soul.
It appears we're at an impasse. How about we settle this over some games of chance?
Go on.
What the hell?
You forfeit your gold to those in need.
And when I win,
If you win, you take the gold and my soul, if you're able.
I'll be very able. I accept these terms. What did you have in mind?
How about a 1st to 7? Loser chooses each game.
Very well, but I go first.
Okie dokie.
I decide to roll this 20-sided die. Oh, and sure I'm feeling generous today. I only win on a 20.
What the hell? Critical success?
Oh, that's too bad, boy. Must be leprechaun luck.
Well played. My turn.
I'm waiting.
First one to sneeze wins.
Well, that's a strange feckin' game. Huh? I didn't even know it works like that. How fun.
First to get struck by lightning wins.
That's ridiculous. Daylight outside.
How fortunate.
Oh, very clever. But I'm still a boy tree.
First to get struck by lightning twice.
Well, that's just statistically impossible.
What the fuck?
You little shite. No matter. I'm still winning.
First to get mauled by a pack of wild velociraptors.
Wild velociraptors? At this
What the fuck?
That makes 5.
First to feel a slight boost in confidence wins.
Yeah, you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm up 6-0. Just fun to go.
First to spontaneously have their
Jesus.
inside out.
What the fuck?
Eyes and teeth wither and decay, becoming nothing more than a pitiful slug who's only
What the fuck?
pain for all eternity wins.
Brother, why?
Congratulations. Oh, but look at you. Seems you're unable to claim your prize. Guess your luck has finally rung out.
Jesus.
You mean run out?
Jesus. God. That's a bit fucked. Okay. One last video for the evening. Billionaires want us homeless. Okay. Let's see this. This was a video I had queued a while ago.
My lease, and they was telling me how my rent is going to increase by like $600.
Ever wonder how much it costs to live in a camper? It's not as cheap as you might think.
And I do love
That looks like a nice camper.
everything about this house. I've come to the realization that I can't stay here because I can't afford to.
You know, I live full time in an RV and we're trying to get a new RV and they're just super expensive.
Call it a mobile home, call it a trailer, but either way, we're buying one.
People are buying storage sheds from Home Depot and converting them into homes. The billionaires have...
I've been hearing about that more and more.
I just got our rent renewal and it's going up by $300 a month. $300 for a 1-bedroom apartment.
How much is your total rent?
Pay with all the fees and everything, $2,000.
What the fuck? $2,000. I used to work overnight at McDonald's. It was the only option I had for work at the time. 10 people got called in for 2 positions. I got hired on due to previous experience. Really? Also, thank you for the super chat. You've been very generous tonight. I appreciate that. For 2 positions, huh? Wait, you got hired on due to previous experience at McDonald's, or I'm a little lost on that. But yeah, like where though? But like $2,300 a month for a one. Bro, my 1-bedroom, my I don't have a 1-bedroom home. I have a couple bedrooms in this house. This house with the HELOC I'm paying like $800 a month plus utilities. With the HELOC. My base mortgage is $500. The HELOC that I had to get to repair the hole in the roof and the windows and the other stuff, that's about another $300 a month that I put in. I don't understand how it got so fucking expensive.
$300 a month for this tiny apartment.
22.6 million renters in the US are now cost burdened, meaning they're spending more than 30% of their income just on housing and utilities. People are working 40, 50 hours a week, but half their paycheck is gone before they've even bought groceries, gas, or had any fun. So now
$2,300 a month is cheap. $3,000 to $4,000 is typical in your area. Jeez.
And that's where the next trap lies. The median single-family home hit over $400,000 in 2024. That's 5 times the median household income.
$412,000 for a house? Like, I know how effed it is because I know the value of my house today. And if I had to buy my house today, I could not afford my own house. By the way, I'm going to move my camera because she's in the bottom right corner. But yeah.
To afford the monthly mortgage payment on that home, you need to earn at least $126,000 a year. Out of the 46 million people who...
So you're telling me with my job that I just got, I only just crossed the threshold to be able to afford that? What the fuck?
Rent in the US, only 6 million of those people make that amount of money each year. That means mathematically
600K? Goddamn!
Will never own a home.
So I was just out on a walk right now and check out these homes next to this path that I'm on.
Your goal is to get a truck with a back camera with built-in shower and give up my apartment. I can understand that. One of my boys, he's trying to get a camper. So he can actually move around for his landscaping because he's up north during the summer months for landscaping, and then he goes down south to do landscaping and patio work and everything during the winter months. I told him, like, dude, just get a camper, and I'll charge you maybe like $100 or so, whatever, you know. $100 plus whatever it costs for the electrical hookup and, you know, stuff. Just park in my backyard while you're here. You won't have to pay lot fees or anything. Just, you know, $100 or so, just so that, like, you can come in, shower, you know, do all that, and it covers, you know, whatever extra utility costs you basically would, you know, cover. And then you can have the liberty to move wherever you want. It just sucks because I think everyone should have the right to be able to afford a home, and I don't understand how homes have become so expensive.
Looking these homes up on Zillow, and you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 615.
Van life. It's rougher life, and safety is rare to find. It's illegal to park in your parents' backyard for more than 3 days. Really? At least where you're at, it's illegal to park in your parents' backyard for more than 3 days. Where I'm at, that ain't an issue.
These really tiny houses. I mean, they're not very big. You can see the properties they're sitting on are tiny, and yet people want $650,000.
Yeah, those are rather small lots.
What, 6.25% interest rate?
Jeez.
No wonder nobody can afford anything.
According to NBC, in Q2 of 2025, investors bought 1/3 of all single-family homes sold.
What the fuck?
In a 3-month period. And now they're not just buying homes, they're building entire neighborhoods that you can never own. These are called built-to-rent communities. They look like your average subdivision, houses, driveways, backyards, but every single home is rental only.
I'm a pretty anti-government kind of person, but I do think that there should be laws to prevent this. I do not think that there should be companies buying entire neighborhoods like this. Look, if a company, you know, wants to go and build apartments and stuff like that, I'm totally game for that. If a company wants to build entire, suburbs to then sell the homes, I'm game for that. But to build them out, to rent them out, go fuck yourself.
To rent now accounts for 9% of all new single-family construction in the U.S.
9%!
Which is part of Blackstone's real estate portfolio.
Well, fuck you, Blackstone.
Texas, Arizona, South Carolina. Look at this. A 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath, 1,900 square feet in Texas with fees comes out to $2,911 a month.
Oh, that's when I smack the shit out you. I smack the shit out.
They've got the cheap vinyl.
In my town, switched to building staff housing because renting in town shot up from $600 a month per bedroom to $1,800 a month per bed. What the shit? I feel like a boomer when I say this. The last time I rented an apartment, I paid $600 a month for my one bedroom. What the hell happened?
Flooring, bathroom tile from the early 2000s.
Ew.
Backyard the size of a shoe.
What the hell? That is a tiny ass. That's a tiny ass yard. I mean, it's an okay size for like a dog, but like, it's still like small. My yard is like 4 or 5, maybe 6 times larger than that.
Box. All for the low price of $3,000 a month.
What the hell?
Their idea of solving the housing crisis is you will never own a house. You will rent a house instead of an apartment, but each year they'll still increase your rent.
Well, I can't afford my house anymore. My mortgage just went up. When I first purchased this house, it was $169,000. And with all of the insurance and stuff added in, my monthly payment was $1,450 a month. Then my mortgage goes up, and they say, oh, the cost of materials have gone up. So in case anything happens to your house, we'd have to rebuild it. So the insurance has gone up. And then the value of the property went up. My payment went from $1,450 to $1,740.
So he's talking about his escrow increased. His mortgage payment actually is the same. The escrow amount is actually increased. So his insurance and taxes are baked into that escrow. So I actually pay my taxes and insurance separate. The reason why is there have been, you get these surprise where the banks, say, hey, we gotta, raise it, all that and everything. So I call my insurance guy. I shop my insurance and everything. I think my insurance went to like $200 a month. It was like $100 or so. So it has gone up. But then also, there's property taxes. My property taxes, I think, what is it about? I want to say like I set aside close to 175 a month. I wasn't able to rent a single bedroom apartment even when I was working about 60 hours a week at McDonald's. That's a crime against humanity. But yeah, he's talking about his escrow rate increased. His actual base mortgage did not. So this is actually why I advise people, look up what your tax rate is. Your property taxes are. Set aside that money, each paycheck. So, like, if you have a credit union, you can actually have, like, up to 99 savings accounts. And I put that money aside every paycheck. Okay? And then what I do is I shop my insurance. I shop my insurance roughly every year. Maybe every 6 months. See if I can get a better rate. If I need to make adjustments. But my insurance also has, like, I think a $20,000 rider I included for all the equipment down here. For all the electronics equipment. So there's $20,000 on top of it. So like if this place gets flooded, that my electronics equipment's covered, because most people don't read their policies and it can only cover up to X amount. So I'm like, I need to at least have my stuff covered. But yeah, that was like an extra $20, I think, a month. I'd rather pay extra to have that covered.
My mortgage is now $2,500.
Property evaluations suck because what do you mean the house my family bought for $600,000 is now worth $1.4 million and the only thing we upgraded was putting a dysfunctional hot tub in the backyard. The yearly unrealized gains tax sucks to pay. Yeah. It really does. I've barely done shit to my house for a reason.
So it went from $1,450 to now $2,500.
Damn!
Mortgages are on the rise. Property taxes keep going up. I mean, look at this house in New Jersey. 2-bedroom, 1-bath starter home hasn't been updated. $750,000.
Damn!
Look at the property taxes. They jumped 93% from 2024 to 2025. The property tax bill is now over $20,000. The insanity.
You were saying?
Down payment. After rent, utilities.
There's actually a property tax crisis going on in Ohio right now where they're actually having a debate right now about abolishing property taxes. It's gotten that bad because there are people that are retired now that can't afford the cost of living increases tied to property taxes.
Car payment and every other bill. How is anyone supposed to save up for a $750,000 starter home that comes with a $20,000 tax bill? They can't. And the reality is, for a lot of people who have bought, they're realizing that they can't afford it, so they're trying to sell. In Austin, Texas, 4.2% of homeowners are upside down. In Cape Coral, Florida, it's 7.8%. Foreclosures are up 14% from 2024. Sellers are removing their listings because they don't want to go below what they initially paid. We can see this listing. On Google Trends, Sell My House keeps trending, and a top related query is Sell My House fast. People aren't just casually listing their homes, they need out of their mortgage.
The economy got so bad, bro, we about to sell the house. The house is paid for, but there's still bills, there's still taxes, there's still maintenance on the house. The light bill was $450, the water bill this month was $250, and it ain't nothing but two of us in this house. Get a trailer, man. Go buy a little.
What are you doing with a light bill of $450? Like, I'm even out here sweating that my bill got to $300, and that's because electric rates got so high. When I was working after the 60 hours a week, management would review my work once every 6 months, and I was usually rated above McDonald's standards. I wonder what McDonald's standards is for work. But that's good on you.
Small land in Tennessee somewhere, man. We can't do this city shit no more, man. It's getting hard.
And if it's this bad for people who are still working, imagine the people on a fixed income.
Oh, that's what I was just talking about.
If a senior bought a home for $200,000, paid it off over 30 years, and that home is now valued at $2 million, they owe taxes on a $2 million asset, even though they've never owned $2 million. They're on a fixed income, and when they can't pay, the state can and does foreclose. Adults over 65 are now the fastest growing homeless demographic in the country.
Congratulations on paying off your house. Thank you. I finally own my home. I love that for you. Now pay
Depends where you live. Electricity is cheap in British Columbia, but come to Alberta, having solar panels casually saves you the cost of installation after month 5. Huh.
If I stop paying, we take the house. But I bought it. Correct. And now
Yeah, my next house, I'm looking at getting solar panels.
This is home ownership. So what did I actually buy? A lifetime subscription with surprise price increases.
But if you can't afford a traditional home, there are alternatives, modular or manufactured homes built in a factory. It's the next layer down in the funnel. For years, this was considered a real path to affordable home ownership. Today, over 20 million Americans live in manufactured homes. There were over 26,000 shipments in the first quarter of 2025 alone.
Some of those manufactured homes are actually pretty nice. The problem is they're an appreciating asset.
Is now 109.
Holy shit!
Multi-section homes, the larger ones, are on average $164,000. But that doesn't include land. You need somewhere to put it, and just like everything else, land prices are skyrocketing. Many people place their manufactured home on a rented lot. You own the home, but you rent the small plot of land underneath it. Just like how billionaires are buying up all the single-family homes, they're also buying these manufactured home lots. 23 private equity firms now own more than 1,900 manufactured
This This is effed.
Over 400,000 land lots. They're becoming landlords, literally.
Paul Bojanic owns his manufactured home, but rents the lot it sits on in the Copper Sun 55 and up community. This summer, he got a notice.
Oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack.
That his rent would be increasing to market value from roughly $600 to over $1,100.
I couldn't believe the amount of money that it's gone up. I mean, we're a community of retirees, people with disabilities.
Moving a
That's
manufactured
effed.
home costs between $5,000 and $15,000, with many of these homes being too old to actually move. So people become trapped. And when they can't pay and they need to leave, guess who buys their home? The same people who trapped them. According to
That's a
investors,
trap.
it's become one of the highest returning assets in real estate because of one simple truth. People have nowhere else to go. But it gets worse. Clayton Homes controls over 50% of the manufactured home market, and they're owned by none other than Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. But Berkshire didn't just buy the factory, they've bought the entire pipeline. Clayton builds the home.
To be fair, Warren Buffett's no longer involved. What's his face? Greg took over, so Warren's out of the picture, but
Vanderbilt Mortgage and 21st Mortgage, both Berkshire subsidiaries, finance the loan. Home First Agency, another subsidiary, sells the insurance. And Berkshire has investments in companies that are buying the land underneath the homes. These people manufacture the home, they finance it, they insure it, and when people can't pay, they take it back.
Yo, this is similar to the model that he actually has done with aviation too. So a lot of people don't know this, but there's also Berkshire Aviation. So they own a private aviation company that actually does charters. So like, okay, you can either do fractional ownership of jets through a company called NetJets, or you can own your jet and get it staffed. You know, pilots, stewardesses, what do you call them? The airline attendants, all of that, maintenance and all that. They have that side of it. And they also have an entire flight safety school. And another part of it, like they have this whole thing. Berkshire has this way of buying entire markets, but wait, that aviation sector also has a finance arm. Oh, you don't want to buy your jet fully outright? Well, we can, finance that for you so you can actually make that into a deduction. Figure out a way to make that tax credit work for you. Don't believe me? Look it up.
One company.
One of these days I'll get into how I know that shit. I actually knew about that before even, we'll get into that another time.
He owns the entire life cycle from factory to foreclosure. The CFPB is currently suing Vanderbilt. They allege Vanderbilt handed out mortgages knowing people couldn't pay. In one case,
the problem is the CFPB is going to be powerless under Trump right now. So they're effed right now.
Their own calculation showed a family of 5 would have $57 left in monthly income after the mortgage payment.
What?
Just $57, and they approved the loan anyway. So these people are going into debt for these homes, and look at what they're getting.
And so let this be your daily reminder to never buy a Clayton home. They use what they apparently call conjoleum. They tried to tell us
conjoleum?
A version of linoleum. So this is particle board. This is the floor, and I'll just show you. This is literally that. Look how thin that is.
Imagine
the hell
decided to find your first home, and just months after moving in, it is covered in mold.
What the hell?
Modular home, whatever you want to call it, a trailer. We went to Clayton Homes, and instantly we started having issues.
If you are considering getting a mobile home, please, please, please do not buy Clayton. This problem right here has been fixed 3 times. It's actively raining outside, like heavy thunderstorm, and this has had to cut the power to my stove. I can't even cook right now.
So I was contracted to work on this mobile home. I had to replace some of the vinyl. I was surprised at what's under the vinyl. There is no plywood. There's this cardboard. And under that cardboard is the insulation. And on the side of the insulation is the sheetrock. That's something. I've never seen a structure that you live in that didn't have OSB minimum on the exterior of the structure. This is some of the cheapest stuff. This is cheap. You're living in a cardboard house.
I'm not here to shame anyone for purchasing.
You may as well be living in a cardboard box like, you know, they depict the homeless people. Jesus! That's evil.
A manufactured home, but I will shame this quality. People think they're buying an affordable house option when in reality, just like so many products today, it's built as cheaply as possible and sold at the highest possible price. When owning a traditional home is out of reach, what's left?
Let's see. When I applied at McDonald's, I wasn't expecting to get 40 hours a week. My friend's not being able to get full-time work at the time. Yeah, 40 hours a week at McDonald's is very rare.
Yoshiro23_ is now chilling in the lab.
Thank you for the follow. But if you're in Canada, I mean, like, I think that would be different because you also, from my understanding, you have health care. In the USA, they don't do that because if you, like, work full-time, they have to give you health care. They'll purposely cut your hours so you're anything but full-time. And full-time is, what is it, like 27, 28 hours? Like, what they consider for health care or something. It's not even, like, full 40 hours. It's BS.
Social media calls it van life. We need to call van life what it actually is. It's displacement. Over 40
You have healthcare so long as it's not eyeglasses and dental. So how does that work? Because, like, I pay for, of course, additional dental and medical. It's like a few bucks a month for, dental and vision with my employer. So how does that work over there? Is it kind of the same thing where you can get dental and vision plans and you just pay a few extra bucks privately?
180,000 Americans now live in RVs full-time. That's double the 2021 figure. And the crazy part, it used to be that manufactured home production outpaced RV production by 18%, but that's no longer the case. RV production now outpaces manufactured homes by a ratio of 4-to-1.
Wow.
Hathaway, they own Clayton Homes and the mortgage companies. Well, they also own 3 of the largest RV.
Additional medical is covered, and we have private insurance for additional services like dental work. Okay.
The pattern is simple.
Wait, what was that? Jesus, so Berkshire owns 3 of the top 10 RV manufacturers.
3 of the largest RV brands in the US. The pattern is simple. Make traditional homes unaffordable, buy up the alternatives, and then make those unaffordable as well. They understand that when rent is astronomical, we will look for alternative living solutions, and they've already bought them. And as a result,
This is really jacked up. Like, I know he's made an immense amount of wealth being wise and, you know, investing and all that, but it's one of those, the more you look into how he's invested, the more effed up it is. And you're getting really generous with the super chats there, bud. I appreciate it. Dental is somewhat covered by the federal government now. For healthcare, it's typically covered by provincial taxes. Okay. I think I'm paying like something like $20 a month for my dental. I think 15 or 20. And then my vision, I'm paying like $3 a month. My employer covers most of it. Private insurance also helps further subsidize prescription meds. My migraine meds were initially $50 and then private insurance $100 a month brought it down to $5. Oh, okay. Yeah, like we can get additional insurances and stuff on top of that. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Do y'all have the crazy waiting periods like people like to talk about over here? Or is that kind of like, depends on the area and the infrastructure and stuff like that? Tell me why the new pair of glasses are $500 after eye insurance. I don't know why yours are $500, because I spent $500 at Costco for 3 pairs. Kirkland, baby! Seriously, Costco, so cheap to get your glasses. Just go get your eye exam, go to Costco. I get 3 pairs of glasses. Actually, I think I only spent like $300 or so dollars. I think it was like $350 for 3 pairs. One was covered by the insurance. Or partially by the insurance. And then I got the blue light filtering and all that. If it's not an emergency, you'll be waiting hours. The ER is forever stuck in triage because of understaffing. Gotcha.
RV living is becoming more expensive than living in a house.
People keep asking me, how much does it cost for us to live full-time up here in North Dakota in our RV? Rent cost is only $545 a month, and then we also have to pay for our trailer, which is part of our debt, which is $1,050 a month for that payment, and then my husband's truck payment is $1,000. Our insurance for both of our cars is $429, and our trailer insurance is $97. We also pay $60 for Wi-Fi. We pay $192 for our phones, and then $100 for subscriptions. Between food and gas, we're spending around $1,000 a month. We spend around $80 a month on laundry, which brings our total to $4,553 a month to live in this RV.
So after the truck payment...
Good God, that's an expensive lifestyle. Sell that truck, get a used Toyota. I was gonna say, like, God damn, that's an expensive lifestyle. $1,000 a month for a truck?
Payment, the RV payment, and various expenses, $4,500 to live in an RV. I don't know about you, but that does not sound very affordable to me. But it's only going to get worse. Equity Lifestyle Properties now owns more than 200 RV resorts and campgrounds across the US and Canada. Over 91,000 sites. They're not building these
I only got the 60 hours a week due to how many sick calls there were and I was on call. Really? I guess a lot of people would be calling off, but like, I don't know what it's like up there, culture-wise, for people that are working McDonald's. Down here, I mean, we got people that are like straight up like midlife working fast food because they need to do better. I mean, they need to get a job and pay their bills. Not do better, it's just they got to pay bills. That's probably some of the best things they can do because unfortunately they haven't done better with their life. There's unfortunately, a lot of people that didn't do much with their life and kind of are regretting it because they didn't, they effed around too much. My used Toyota is still expensive, but still less than half $1,000. Yeah.
For families to go on vacation. They're building them because people have nowhere.
My grandpa worked at Walmart in his late 60s, early 70s just for insurance or something. Yeah, I've heard that.
Speculating, this is in their own SEC filings. We believe millennial and Gen Z demographic will contribute to our future long-term customer pipeline.
That is a fucked way to put it.
And the conclusion of the study was that demand from millennial and Gen Z would continue to outpace supply for manufactured home and RV communities. It then goes on to say, the entitlement process to develop new manufactured home and RV communities is extremely restrictive. As a result, there have been limited new communities developed in our target demographic markets. Meaning it's hard for other companies to develop communities, so therefore we have to live in theirs, and they are going to jack up the prices.
With us as two 19-year-olds turning a shed into our home.
Back here is where the bathroom is going to be. This is going to be the laundry room. Right here will be like the kitchen, the stove. I'm going to have like a little island. And then over here, the living room.
And this right here is actually a tiny home.
It's actually a nice little shed right there. In a lot of call-ins, it was either me getting called in or the restaurant closing for the night. Oof. Guess there's not a lot of people out where you're at. I mean, but work is work. You gotta respect the ethic.
Tough shed from Home Depot, 2 stories.
Oh, tough shed? I hear good things.
Full kitchen, full living room.
When everything becomes...
That's a shed, though?
People buying storage sheds from Home Depot and converting them into homes. That's how desperate things have gotten. Here's one on Home Depot's website right now. A build-it-yourself kit, 10 by 12 feet, $3,343. It's clearly a shed, but look at the description. The Windmere has shed DNA, but begs to be more than a storage shed. They know exactly who's buying these.
I was thinking of buying something like that to turn it into a very large dog house and storage shed. My dogs are spoiled, I know!
And what they're doing with them. And the reviews confirm it. People are converting these into tiny homes, adding plumbing, electricity. It's the new affordable option. And they're now building these sheds to look more like house than shed. They come with windows and upstairs, siding, the works. Looking at this, it made me wonder, is private equity involved in the shed industry? And I don't know why I thought the ansser could be anything other than, of course.
Used to sell those at home hardware, overpriced compared to just buying the materials separately. Oh yeah, I can believe it.
And by 2017, their COO was bragging that they were producing more storage sheds than anyone in North America. And he specifically noted that accessory dwelling units were an emerging category. Even in 2017, they noticed people converting these sheds into living spaces.
Yeah, that was the tiny home trend.
On that. That Home Depot shed I just showed you, it's one of 7 brands owned by Backyard Products, the same company that received private equity backing. Billionaires are buying up every affordable housing alternative, things that arguably shouldn't even count as alternatives in the first place. So what are people supposed to do? Be homeless? No, because the Supreme Court made that illegal in 2024. So then it's the for-profit prisons, the $4 billion industry where private equity is our...
Wait, the Supreme Court really make that illegal? Hold up. The fuck? The Supreme Court says cities can punish people for sleeping in public places. We do not have a heart as a country. Fuck this planet.
Already running the phones, the food, and the healthcare. That's the bottom of the funnel.
It's a place for someone to live in full time for months or years at a time, where they live in a recreational vehicle, in an RV. This is a business I've been in for about 7 years. They have very small RV parks out there that are 3 to 10 pad sites that are about 3 to 10 times more profitable than buying a single family home as a rental. So I don't understand why people buy single family homes, because like buying a small RV park costs the same, but is significantly more profitable.
The hell? The hell? That is effed. Well, on that dystopian note, I guess we will be calling it a night because it's getting a little bit late. It's 10:30. So, thank you all for joining me. Make sure, if you haven't, to follow me on all of my socials. I am on Discord, Matrix. Make sure to join those. I also do have the Instagram up now. Follow me on TikTok, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, TikTok, all the different platforms. Thank you all for joining me. Also, the location I was working at was a full 24-hour location, including the inside. Have a great night. They still have 24-hour locations?
Dead14 is now chilling in the lab.
Thank you for the follow there. The dead one, thank you for that. But yeah, make sure to follow me on all of the platforms. I am on Instagram. I have to update the stream elements and everything to include Instagram and everything, because I just unprivated that yesterday. I'm still hemming and hawing, as you can hear me, as I've been saying for months, if I'm even gonna, allow Twitter. probably eventually going to acquiesce, but it'll be a long internal struggle. But anyway, thank you all for joining me. I may get on stream again tomorrow. We'll see how I feel, maybe on Friday. But otherwise, the next official stream is officially Sunday night. And either I'll see it tomorrow or Friday or Sunday. Thank you all for joining me. As always, stay safe. Happy hacking. Join the Discord. Join the Matrix. Join all my social medias. And stick around for the raid if you're on Twitch. I love all y'all. Stay safe. And happy hacking.